And the Sports Bash is live on a happy hour Friday. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And, of course, you can watch the show live through our website, 973ESPN.com. What's going on, everybody? You know, I feel like it's a happy hour Friday. My thoughts are all over the place. I was prepared to kind of start with one topic, and then another thing came up, and then I went another way. The Phillies are in action today. Bryce Harper hit a majestic blast over the left center field wall. Actually, it was not over the left center field wall. It was over the left center field stadium. It went out of the building down there in Clearwater. His first at-bat of the spring, a Oppo home run. Spencer Howard came in today, pitched an inning, was very impressive in his one inning of work, where he absolutely dazzled with the 96-mile-per-hour fastball. I've been telling people, and I hope you listen, in that Spencer Howard is not the guy that you saw last year. Don't judge Spencer Howard as the guy you watched last year. He is a way better pitcher than the guy that you saw in a very limited amount of time last year. Something didn't seem to be right with him. They ended up shutting him down. But you saw today, if you were watching any of the Phillies earlier this afternoon when Spencer Howard was in the game, that he has the ability to be, I think his ceiling is kind of like a number 2 in the rotation. I don't think this year, but I would say he's probably like a number 2 down the road in the rotation. And if he could pitch like he did today for 5, 6, 7 innings on, I don't want to say every single night, but if he could pitch like that as your number 4 or number 5 guy, I like what you see there. I'm beginning to kind of feel better, and I like this Phillies team. I think I just heard a stat from McCarthy watching the Phillies game that the Phillies have hit like 11 home runs already in spring training. We know this. The Phillies offense is going to score a lot of runs, right? The Phillies are going to score a lot of runs. They have a good offense, similar to the offense that they had last year. I mean, it's literally the same offense that they had last year. You might see a little bit of an addition if you see Odubel Herrera make this team. The only other change in this offense from last year, really, that I can envision would be if Herrera makes the team and starts and plays center field on an almost daily basis. Other than that, you're getting the same team. Real Muto behind the plate, Hoskins at first. The only difference would be, I mean, really, after halfway through the season last year, you got Alec Boehm every day, too. So it's essentially the same team offensively. And offensively, they were good enough last year. This was a good offense last year. Their starting pitching was good last year. It wasn't great, but it was serviceable. You had your 3. I don't know what's going to happen. Chase Anderson started today, looked really good in his 2 innings of work. Yesterday, Matt Moore threw. He looked pretty good. I know it's the first, week of spring training here, but there was some positives from the 2 free agent signings. And then Spencer Howard came in today and just absolutely looked better than everybody. I mean, he dazzled. Nice fastball. I really am a fan of Howard. And I think we all should be hoping. I'm not suggesting that anybody's hoping that Howard doesn't make the team. But we talked yesterday with Bob from Crossing Broad, and he mentioned that if Spencer Howard doesn't make the rotation, don't count him out. I would love to see Spencer Howard make the rotation and maybe Chase Anderson pitch out of the bullpen. That's what I want to that's what I hope ends up happening, is that Matt Moore and Spencer Howard win the job as the 4 and the 5, and then Chase Anderson has to go to the bullpen. It makes the bullpen better. Anderson pitched well today. He's got experience pitching out of the bullpen. I hope they go with Velasquez to the bullpen. I have told you, I am out on Velasquez as a starter, but I'm not going to give up on him. I would love to see, hey, from start to finish, you are a bullpen arm. Have that mentality all season long, and let's see what happens. So I have, a lot of interest to see. And I know that Joe Girardi, Archie Bradley is pitching right now, and he looks pretty good too, by the way. And Joe Girardi has stated that he would like to see his bullpen guys have roles, something that they didn't really have last year because their bullpen was so bad. But like someone's the closer, someone's the setup man, someone's that left-hander, someone's the seventh inning guy, someone's the long man. I think this bullpen has the makings of a serviceable bullpen. And with that, I'll say this. If they have a serviceable bullpen, they'll make the playoffs. If they get the same output from their pitching as they got last year, their starting pitching, and the same output from their offense, they can make the playoffs. I don't want to say they're definitively going to make the playoffs as long as their bullpen's better, but they would have made the playoffs last year had their bullpen been not such a disaster. Now, it's a big if. If it's me, I'm going Archie Bradley closing games out. I'll go with Neris, Kinsler. Those two guys, is probably my eighth inning guys. They've got the kid Watson, the lefty, as my lefty coming out of the bullpen. And Coonrod as a guy that can pitch in the seventh. So they've got some, and Coonrod I don't think has pitched in spring training yet. But they've got a lot of options. There's definitely a lot of options in the bullpen. I think this Grapefruit League will be very interesting. Almost every single guy that gets called on to come into the game for Joe Girardi, almost every single guy is in a battle for a spot in that rotation. And that's what makes this spring training very interesting. They brought in, this is where I got to give Dave Dombrowski a lot of credit. And I'm not trying to, it's not like it hurts me to do this. I like Dave Dombrowski. This is where I have to give him a lot of credit. Dombrowski did a great job of bringing in competition. He didn't necessarily bring in a guy who's the definitive favorite to win the position, but he brought in a bunch of guys that you could say, I'm intrigued, I'm interested, this guy's interesting, and he says, let them all battle it out, right? Let them all battle it out for the fourth and fifth spot in the rotation. May the victor go the spoils. And then on the other side, he's got all these different guys he brought in that are versatile, that can pitch in the bullpen, can pitch at the back end of a rotation, and let them all battle it out. So I'll give Dombrowski a lot of credit for this in that he brought in a lot of competition. That's what's interesting about this team. He brought in a lot of competition, and I think almost every single day when someone goes out to the mound, they're going out to the mound because they're in a battle, and that's great. That's what makes competition. It brings out the best. I got Chase Anderson pitching, trying to win a spot in the rotation. I got Matt Moore pitching, trying to win a spot in the rotation. I got Spencer Howard pitching, trying to win a spot in the rotation. I got Vince Velasquez pitching, trying to win a spot in the rotation. I've got all these guys, these bullpen arms, trying to win a spot in the position. And I've got the guys who don't win a spot in the starting rotation. They are fighting to be, hey, if I don't win the fourth job or the fifth job, then I'm going to be a guy pitching out of the bullpen. You can't argue with that. And all of that is something that I think makes the Phillies a better team coming out of spring training. All of that makes the Phillies a team that if their bullpen is better, and it has to be better. I mean, it has to be. I think they could roll me and Josh and Pete Thompson and a couple others out there, and our bullpen by accident would be better than the bullpen they had last year. I'm not joking. I mean, we throw so slow that it would throw off the hitters and we'd get out of innings. But after what they tried with what they had last year, I think that you could find 5 or 6 of us that would be better than the bullpen they had last year. So by accident, they have to be a better bullpen than what you had last year. 609-403-0973 on the text board. 609-403-0973 is the text board. And also, don't forget, if you're watching the show live through our website, 973ESPN.com. You can always be involved in the chat and get involved on the show all day long, taking you till 6 o'clock tonight. Some news from Kevin Durso, who's going to join us at 2:40 tonight. Brian Elliott will be in goal tomorrow for the Flyers, and I want to transition over to the Flyers. because last night, if you turned the Flyers game on the radio or you were listening to it on the free mobile app, you probably turned it off pretty quickly. It was about one of the ugliest 5 minutes of hockey that you could ever watch. If somebody said, hey, put this on, you've never seen hockey before, you're rooting for the team in orange and black, tell me what you think. You would have got up and said, man, this sucks. And then it's like, you remember the Peter Laviolette timeout, the famous timeout that they took in the Boston series? Yeah. Last night, Alain Vigneault had his timeout moment when he calls timeout after the worst 5 minutes of hockey that he probably ever witnessed, as you're down 3-0. Calls timeout, gets a goal, you're down 3-1 going into the second. And then all of a sudden, here comes the captain, here come the Flyers, and voila. If for some reason you didn't go to our website, 973ESPN.com, after the game or this morning to check out what happened, you would have read that Kevin Durso would have told you the Flyers came back and won that game last night 4-3. And it was a big goal late. What a pass by Aubé Kubel, the little backhander, tape to tape from the backhand. Somehow, some way, I don't know how he did it, he got it between about 6 skates from Penguin players, plus a goaltender's stick. And this lands that baby right on the tape of Claude Giroux, and they score that late goal and end up getting the win 4-3. It's funny. It went from a 3-0 Penguins game to a 4-3 Flyers game, to where with 2 minutes left in the game, the Penguins had to pull their goalie to try to win that game last night. And literally the last play of the game, it came down to the last play of the game, a face-off, the Penguins win it, and they rip a slap shot right into the breadbasket of Brian Elliott, and that's the way the game ends. 4-3, the Flyers win it, and they'll play the Penguins tomorrow one more time for this little best-of-3 series, and you can hear that game on 97.3 ESPN. That's a 7 o'clock game tomorrow night. Kevin Durso will join me at 2:40 today to take a look at that game, take a look at that series, and then they play again on Sunday. So what Alain Vigneault is doing is kind of interesting. Instead of going with Carter Hart in this game against the Penguins, he's going to go right back to Brian Elliott. So you're going to get Elliott tomorrow, and then I would imagine you're going to get Hart on Sunday. You're not going to play Elliott 3 games in a row, especially on a back-to-back. But it was... And they highlighted this on the broadcast last night. And you don't think about this. And follow at Kevin Durso. He's tweeting out because Vigneault is following up. He is talking. So Durso's going to join us in 20 minutes or 25 minutes. But if you follow at Kevin Durso and you want Flyers updates, he's got some information on Farabee. He did say that Carter Hart will start on Sunday. So you are going to get Carter Hart on Sunday. But, you know, because of the COVID situation, we're not really cognizant of how many games there are, where the standings are, what everything kind of looks like. But, and by the way, keep in mind, Carter Hart, way better numbers against the Capitals, and he's a much better goalie at home than he is on the road, so it makes sense that he would play Sunday, not tomorrow. But I believe, and this year is a little wonky with the COVID situation, but I believe the top 4 teams in each division make the playoff. That's just what it is. It's just the top 4. That's it, right? There's no wild cards or anything wonky like in the years past. I think what they're doing this year, if memory serves, and I'll have to ask Durso this, or maybe we can entrepreneur it ourselves, but I think that the top 4 teams in each division get in. That's how they're doing it, right? There's no wild cards, right? There's 4 divisions, just the top 4 teams get in. There's no wild card. There's nothing like that. So you've got to be one of the top 4 teams in the East. And right now, it's Washington, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, Pittsburgh, the Rangers, Jersey, and Buffalo. They're the teams in the East. Philly last night was tied with Pittsburgh. A loss last night, and the Flyers would have dropped out of that top 4 spot. Now, the Flyers have played 20 games. We're 20 games in. There's still a long way to go. How many games are they playing in the NHL this year? 60-something? Is it 56, 60, 66, something like? It's not 82. I know that. I'm thinking to myself, they played 20 games. 56. Okay, I thought it was like somewhere in that range. 56. So they got 36 games left to go. If this was a normal season and you had 36 games left to go, every point matters. So think about that. Even though they've only played 20 games, every point is huge right now. And the Flyers have themselves, with that win last night, they get to 27. Pittsburgh falls to 25, and it's a really big win. So we will talk more about it coming up with Durso at 2:40. I want to now flip over to a couple of Eagles things, because the Eagles are now beginning the, I guess, crusade, if you will, to try to get themselves from under the salary cap. So here we go. Let's follow along and pay attention. Last night it started. They did not tender a contract to their punter, Cam Johnston. That doesn't sound like a big deal. He is a pretty good punter, and people are just yawning at the sight of the punter, but they need to get cap compliant. By not tendering him, he becomes a free agent. He was restricted. If the team was not in cap problems, he would definitively have been back. He made $660,000. He is now off their books. Cam Johnston is gone. The Eagles will need a new punter. That's number one. Number two, this morning, the Eagles restructured the contract of cornerback Darius Slay. So Slay is now restructured, and he will play next season, creating $9.1 million in salary cap space. That's a significant amount of money right off the bat. So essentially, last year they gave Slay, I think Slay got a 3-year, $50 million contract last year when he signed with the Eagles. He got traded to the Eagles for a third and a fifth, but then he signed a new contract with the Eagles. I think it was 3 years and $50 million. Now they've gone and approached Slay and said, can you help us out? And they've restructured that deal where he's turning it into bonus money. That bonus money will be spread out. So they'll be paying Slay bonus money for the next 5 years, whatever it is. I don't know where they did with it, but they created $9.1 million in cap space because of that. So that's number one. Number two, we talked about it on Friday last week with Adam Kaplan. Adam is back today for Football at 4. He was right. Jason Kelce announced today that he will be back for the 2021 season. And with that, he could earn $9 million in guaranteed is what he'll get paid. With incentives, he could earn up to $12 million. This is important for a couple of reasons. He had a year left on his deal. They essentially ripped that deal up. They give him a new deal, and I'm sure that they have taken that money and spread it out over a couple of years. So Jason Kelce is back, and he will be the team's starting center next year. That is good news. Because now, and as I've said before, the Eagles' offensive line is coming into shape. And I know there's a lot of people out there who don't agree with me, and that's okay. You don't have to. I have said, I've been, I think, the one guy out there who has said, if the Eagles' offensive line is healthy, this team can make the playoffs. And I know people think that's preposterous. I'm sure you people, when the Eagles are in the playoff mix, won't come back to me in November or December and say, you know what, you were the one guy that said this. But I contend, and I want you to listen to me and not misconstrue what I'm saying. I say, if this offensive line can remain healthy, this isn't like if Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks and Jason Kelce and Isaac Seumalo all get hurt, then no, they're not making the playoffs. Not with that offensive line. What I'm saying is if this offensive line starts the season and makes it through the season together and plays, 80% of the games, they can make the playoffs and likely would make the playoffs. So that's what I'm saying. So don't say you're crazy. And then if the team has injuries across the offensive line, Don't be the guy that says, you said they would make the playoffs. No. I say if the offensive line is healthy, Jason Kelce, whoever starts at left tackle, Sayamala, Kelsey, Brooks, and Lane Johnson. If that is their offensive line for a majority of the season, they will make the playoffs. That's what I said, and that's what I'm saying. So book that and put it wherever you want, and then remember it. All right, we got more Eagles on the way, 609-403-0973. So, how many people out there agree with me? That I'm interested to see. How many people out there agree that the Eagles' offensive line's healthy, they can make the playoffs? I'm saying it's almost as simple as that. Offensive line makes it through the season, they make the playoffs. Offensive line, hurt like last year, not happening. Jeff Bone, Mike would look better in a Dodgers sweater. I got Dodger blue on underneath, right here. I used to have a Dodger tee when I went to Dodger Stadium. Like all the different stadiums I visit, I like to get something at each stadium. Josh, what's up? He says, hey, what's up, Mike? I agree. I said the same thing. Josh, I'm glad that we're on the same page. Joe McCluskey is watching on YouTube. He says, I 100% agree. This is scary that people are agreeing with me. This doesn't normally happen, but I'm happy to see it. It's Friday, y'all. It's Happy Hour Friday. You know what that means. We're jam-packed today. Paul Hudrick, our Sixers insider, best around, right here, 3:20 today. Adam Kaplan, NFL insider, right here today. Football at 4. Happy Hour Friday with the PT, right here today. And in 20 minutes, the best Flyers insider around, Kevin Durso, right here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app, and watch the show live on our website, 973ESPN.com.
Turn it on. Leave it on. The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank, here for you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Homeowners, no need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Call Jenkins. One call does it all. Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all, so you only have to call one number, 609-641-6262. Jenkins & Sons has been on the job since 1949. For new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, and drain cleaning services, one call does it all. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com. That's 609-641-6262 or jenkinsandsons.com.
Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you.
Heard the good news about COVID-19 vaccines? They're here, but you can do more than wait for your turn. Here's how. Stay at least 6 feet away from folks you don't live with. And it's risky to be indoors with them too. And masks? Well, they protect both the person wearing them and the folks around them. Wear a mask, watch your distance, and make a big difference now.
Learn more about vaccines at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The following is a paid announcement. The advertiser was paid a marketing fee for a digital campaign. Please make sure to review our disclaimer on our report page.
The new year is here, and the time is now to capitalize on the EV stocks boom in the U.S. markets. If you're following EV stocks, then you may know that this potential $3 trillion marketplace depends on graphite for next-generation energy cells. The industry is facing low supply that might not meet demand over the next 10 years. But we've identified a company that could supply the industry with the world's highest grade of graphite for lithium-ion batteries for decades. And you can get up-to-the-minute research on the stocks that are poised to lead the way with your free subscription to Avid Mineral Report. Text the word stock to 48542 to find out which stocks can take your investment research on the electronic vehicle market to the next level. Text stock to 48542. Get this red-hot intelligence delivered directly to your mobile device so you can make decisions as market conditions change. Text the word stock to 48542. Get your free subscription to Avid Mineral Reports when you text stock to 48542.
Get a refresh with your refund during Maaco's tax season event for expert paint and collision repair. Use our contactless services. It's as easy as book, quote, fix. Better get Maaco. Visit Maaco.com today to schedule your free estimate. Terms and conditions apply.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
227 Sports Bash. Watch the show live, 97.3ESPN.com, through Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can comment on the show throughout the show on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. The comments will come to me, and we'll have a good conversation. Jamie Glover, secondary too. Eagles need secondary. They do. Sure do. Big time. They did restructure Slay, which would tell me they're not going to get rid of him. There were some people that thought maybe they would trade him or, to get rid of his contract, but they restructure with him. A couple other things over here on the chat board. I'm surprised at the amount of people who are on board with what I'm saying. I mean, I thought the Eagles fans were all gloom and doom out there. This is like a very surprising treat, I would say. Ryan Faloci, am I saying that right? Ryan Faloci, watching on YouTube, says, I agree with you 100%. That's why it's important to surround Hurts with weapons. So I'm glad you brought that up, Ryan Faloci. That's my guess. I think it's Faloci. I'm not sure. But, you want to see? There you go. Ryan Faloci. Maybe Faloche? Faloche? Maybe it's Faloche. Faloci, Faloche. Here's what I'll say, Ryan. And people are not going to like what I have to say because I talked about this yesterday. I talked about Kyle Pitts yesterday and how I enjoy Kyle Pitts. Now, I understand since Wednesday, we've talked a lot about Pitts. Somebody actually took time out of their day to email me about how angry they were about the amount of Kyle Pitts conversation we were having. And I said, well, you realize that other people were, having this conversation. So today, I was kind of like, okay, we're going to talk about other things. And then I saw Todd Mcshay's mock draft 3.0 come out today. Did anybody check out Todd Mcshay's mock draft 3.0? I have it posted right now at 97.3ESPN.com with the Eagles pick, with the 6th pick in the draft. The Philadelphia Eagles select. Who was the pick that Todd Mcshay has going to the Eagles? It was Kyle Pitts. I know you don't want to hear it. It was Kyle Pitts. And Todd Mcshay was on with Greeny today here on 97.3 ESPN and had this to say about Kyle Pitts.
What makes him special is his ability to, first of all, play all over the field. You can play him in line. You can play him, in the slot. You can use him as a wide receiver. And then after the catch, I mean, this guy, he is special. He really is. I mean, he's got a chance to be the 11th tight end in the history of the NFL draft to be a top 8 pick. I mean, think about that. How many guys that we've seen? And I put him ahead of the wide receivers. I put him ahead of Devontae Smith. I put him ahead of Jamar Chase. And I did it because I just think that he's such a matchup piece. In today's NFL, you can utilize him in so many different ways.
All right, that was Todd Mcshay, that he is an absolute nightmare, that you can utilize him in so many different ways. And that's one of the things that I've been kind of trying to tell people, is that he's more than just a tight end. And you heard Todd Mcshay say it there. He is more than just a tight end. He's a matchup nightmare for people. He is a problem. And look, starting on Wednesday, The Athletic had him in their mock draft. And I was like, this is kind of an interesting topic. Like 2 weeks ago, somebody had Kyle Pitts in their mock draft. And I was kind of like, I don't know about this. I have since changed my mind. I would be okay with Kyle Pitts at number 6. Now, the thing that Mcshay says that is kind of interesting, Bruce, I will answer your question right now. I am not taking Sewell. He's not even on I'm not even considering, not that he stinks. I'm not saying that at all. I have no interest in taking an offensive lineman this year. None. I have a fine offensive line. I do not want them to take an offensive lineman or a quarterback. So to answer Bruce's question, I'm going Jamar Chase. Mcshay has, and so do others, Mcshay has Pitts ranked ahead of the receivers. He has him ranked ahead of all the wide receivers. That is something that I think is pretty amazing. And look, I said it before, and I agree. This is something else that Mcshay said. He said this morning on KJZ. Listen to what he says here. Now, again, people were all bit. They're not taking Kyle Pitts. They're not taking a tight end at number 6. Take a listen.
When I look at Pitts, how many guys like Pitts are out there? You got Travis Kelce. No one knows Darren Waller because he plays for Las Vegas, but he had 197 catches the last 2 years. But he's that kind of player. 6'5" and change, 250 pounds is where he's going to wind up being. And you can play him in line. He's physical as a blocker, even though he's not great, but he's at least gives effort. But you can put him, flex him out in the slot, put him out wide. You can do so many different things with him. And Zach Ertz is not going to be there in Philly. So now you have Dallas Goedert, and if Pitts is the pick, now you're giving your young quarterback and Jalen Hurts a real opportunity, in my opinion, to create some mismatches.
I agree with a lot of what he's saying. I mean, you are in a situation right now where you have to get some talent for Hurts. And you have got to get some talent for Hurts. And if you could get a special player, again, this is what other people's opinions are, is that Pitts is ranked higher than all the wide receivers in this draft. Higher than Chase, higher than Smith, higher than Weddle. The Eagles aren't drafting a third tight end. They only have one. Zach Ertz will not be back here next year. We went through this yesterday. Zach Ertz will not be back here next year. So I don't know where you keep getting 3 tight ends for this team. They only have one. So you're not drafting a third tight end. You only have 1 tight end. You have Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz will not be here. So, and if you're counting Pitts as a tight end, you're an idiot. He's not a tight end. You just heard what he said. He is a matchup nightmare. He is a guy that plays on the outside in the X position. He's a guy who lines up in the slot. He can play inline as a tight end. Every young quarterback, if you said, what does a young quarterback need? They would like the tight end. What do? They don't want to have to think a lot. They don't want to have to go scanning the field, reading the defense. They want that guy underneath that could be the security blanket and catch the ball. The thing with Pitts, this is where people like Murphy Brown, who are commenting, in the chat. They have no idea who the guy is. They've never watched him play, so you can sound as ignorant as you want. What position did he play in college? He didn't play any position in college. He played weapon. He played wide receiver. He played H-back. He played tight end. Here's what he did. This is what he did in college. If you want to call him a tight end, that's your fault. He averaged 17 yards a catch in college. Find me a tight end that averages 17 yards a catch. He's not a tight end. He is a weapon. 17 yards a catch is better than almost every single wide receiver in the NFL. So, again, you continue to say they don't need a third tight end. This is now 2 highly respected mock drafts, and that doesn't mean that that's who they're taking. Because 2 mock drafts have him going to the Eagles doesn't necessarily mean they're taking one, but this is now 2 highly respected people that think that the best fit for the Eagles is Kyle Pitts. He might be listed as a tight end, and if that's what makes you feel good that he's listed as a tight end, hey, look, you do you, buddy. You do you. No one's going to list somebody as a weapon. He did not line up at tight end for the Florida Gators every single play. He played on the outside. He played on the inside. He played the slot. He played the X. He played the Y. He played tight end. He played H-back. He was all over the field for them. All I said to you yesterday, if you haven't seen Kyle Pitts, and this is everybody, go watch him. Just go watch him, and you will say, this is not a tight end. If you are listing him as a tight end, you're obviously going to have the position that I don't want another tight end on the team. Then that's fine. You are not watching a tight end. If you actually saw the guy play, you would say, this guy is not a tight end. Ryan checks in. If Travis Fulgham is what we saw last year, we have Goddard, and if Rieger takes a step, we draft Pitts with a healthy offensive line and Hurts' ability to run, and oh yeah, we have Miles Sanders too. I don't know what to think of Fulgham, but Fulgham is a very interesting prospect, to say the least. I think one of the problems that we heard about Fulgham last year was there was some reports that he didn't really work all that hard. You know, that was one of the things that his work habits during the season were kind of questioned, but he's a big dude, 6'2", 215 pounds, big physical receiver, kind of phased out of the offense as the season went on. Bruce checks in. Would love if the Eagles could get Asante Samuel in the second round. Would fit the defensive scheme, and coming from an FSU alum, he falls how bad the team was. I don't know what you're saying there other than Asante Samuel. Look, Asante Samuel Jr. is a guy that, I think in the second round they need corner bad. They need cornerback help bad. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We will continue the conversation, continue your messages. Josh Stewart, yes, sir. I like how you see it. The offense will be dangerous. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves yet. That offensive line needs to be healthy. If that line's healthy, as I said, they could be a playoff team. If you get a guy like Kyle Pitts, your offense could be extremely dangerous. If you get a guy like Jamar Chase, you could be dangerous. But I think Pitts is exactly what this offense could use. All right, back with more Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Watch the show live, 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app, and watch it live on our website, 973ESPN.com. When we come back, Kevin Durso on that Flyers win last night. It was pretty cool. Check it out. Coming up next.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
He scored!
The Flyers are in Pittsburgh to face the Penguins tomorrow. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Hey, bro, I don't think I can help you move Saturday. My back is really bugging me. I just don't think I can handle it. Sorry.
Hey, dude, it's John. I know I told you I'd be able to help you move. I think Michelle's really mad at me for something. What's that, honey? Oh, dude, I gotta go. Sorry, man.
Call Clark's Moving and Storage in South Jersey for your next local or long-distance move. Clark's, dependable and always shows up. Call 609-889-0780.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is Cape May County Commissioner Len Desiderio. We are making progress in the fight against COVID. Please get tested and quarantine if you are positive to prevent the spread. Testing remains very important to our efforts. Everyone is frustrated by the slow supply of vaccine, but we are working with the state to get more doses to Cape May County, and we thank you for your patience. Make sure you are registered with the state at covidvaccine.nj.gov or call 855-568-0545 for personal assistance. COVID has used up so much of our patience, but we need just a little more. Thank you for all of your hard work. Now we have to finish strong, safely together.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
As a minimalist, paying less for insurance is more.
Nice place. Is your house a bubble?
It's a dome. I find corners unnecessary.
At Liberty Mutual, that's how we feel about overpaying for insurance.
But I do miss having shelves.
What would you put on them?
Nothing, obviously.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Well, I started my own restaurant because I love to cook. But that also means a lot of greasy pots and pans. So we can't waste time with endless sink changeovers. So we upgraded to Dawn Professional Pot and Pan.
Dawn Professional cleans 58% more pots and pans per sink than the leading competitor.
Less dish soap, fewer changeovers, and more time doing what we love.
Dawn Professional. It's clean. Upgraded. From P&G Professional.
Home is where the heart is, and with a $138 million Powerball jackpot win, home could look a lot different than it does now. With all those millions, a Cape May mansion could be yours. So take a chance on Powerball. Anything can happen in Jersey.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
At 2:43 on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. And don't forget, you can watch the show live on our website, 973ESPN.com. Flyers insider Kevin Durso is here as the Flyers win last night. They knock off the Penguins in just a wild game. I mean, I said, Kevin, if you turn that game on to someone who didn't watch hockey before and said, hey, you're going to root for the team in the orange and the black, and they watch 5 minutes, they'd say, get me out of this thing, and I don't ever want to go back. And then they called timeout and kind of settled in. They score that goal. And then kind of, that third period looked very impressive. Got a big game from the captain last night. But let's start with this. What happened early in that game that made them look horrendous?
That's just a team that wasn't ready to play. As simple as that. At least from the opening face-off. They weren't ready to play. They were caught in a lot of bad situations, and mistakes, a lot of mistakes, honestly. I mean, Phil Myers makes a pinch along the wall. There's not the support at the back end to allow for everybody to come back. He was late on the back check, so that allows Mark Friedman to get behind everybody, so he's there for the rebound on the one goal. Sean Couturier had a turnover in the offensive zone, basically just made a pass directly to Evgeny Malkin. That started a 3-on-2. They scored off of that as well. even the first goal, which is kind of a fluky play, but it still qualifies as a bit of a mistake because Travis Sanheim tries to glove down the puck instead of maybe putting his body in front of it or trying to knock it down in a different way. It's more of a low percentage play when you try to play it with your hand, and he gets a piece of it but not all of it, and that's how it deflects by Brian Elliott. So kind of a series of unfortunate events, but also just lack of execution, and that's why the timeout came when it did, and it happened so quickly. This was 3:57 into the game, and what was it? I think a minute and 11 seconds was the 3 goals separated. And that's just, it's unheard of and it's not acceptable at all. And that's why you saw the timeout. I give Alain Vigneault a lot of credit, not just for calling the timeout there. I kind of thought he was going to do it after the second one, to be honest. And instead it took the third one. But I give him credit for sticking with Brian Elliott because none of those goals were Brian Elliott's fault. And letting this situation play out. You said it earlier in the show, and I think you're dead on with it. He had a bit of a Peter Laviolette moment there where you look up at the clock, you look up at the score, and you say, there's enough time left in this game that it's not over. Just get one first and start to build back towards it, and that's exactly what they did.
You mentioned that none of them were Elliott's fault. They're going to go with Elliott again. Kind of give us some reasoning why, and not that this is a bad thing, just kind of, give us what Vigneault's explanation was on why he's going to go right back to Elliott. So back-to-back Elliott's against Pittsburgh. He'll go tomorrow.
Yeah, and I don't think that there was any overly particular reasoning to it. They have a back-to-back, and Alain Vigneault's kind of stressed multiple times throughout the last week the 6-9 situation that they have. They have 6 games over the course of 9 days, and he's never seen anything like that in his coaching career. So he's really trying to juggle the workload for both guys. This is this particular situation. It's a back-to-back on a weekend. So you're going to go with one and then the other. So it was just a matter of who got the start first. This is probably, honestly, exactly the way I would have drawn it up myself, honestly. I think that Elliott was, depending on if he could have won you that game, which he did last night, then I'd set it up for him to play on Saturday. And then you not only get Carter Hart against the team that he's had success against in his career in Washington, but you put him on home ice where he's been playing well, obviously, and you put him on home ice for the first game with fans back in the building, which I think is a boost for the team in general, but definitely for him. And I think it sets up nicely that that's the way it's going to work. So that's part of the reasoning, in my opinion, that Brian Elliott's going again against Pittsburgh on the road, and then Carter Hart's coming back for the first home game with fans back in the building.
Kevin Durso covers the Flyers at Kevin_Durso. And, to get back in that game, the special teams, kind of talk about how they came through last night and helped this team out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I go back to the Tuesday game because they had a chance to bury the Penguins right at the beginning of the game. 2 power plays. They didn't score on them. It was still scoreless through the first period. And once the score was 3-1 in favor of Pittsburgh, as the Penguins were starting to dominate that second period, you got another power play where you could have trimmed the lead then and found your way back into the game, and they didn't score on that. And then again, same thing. They had 2, one towards the very final seconds of the second period that carried into the third, and another one right after that, and they didn't score on those either. And to go 0 for 5 on the power play against a team whose penalty kill was 29th ranked in the league at that time, it just doesn't, it's not acceptable, but it's also a huge missed opportunity to put your stamp on the game one way or another, whether it's early in the game when you can carve out a lead and give yourself the advantage right away, or when you can work on trimming the lead that Pittsburgh had established. Either way, it was an opportunity, and they didn't take advantage of it. In this game, that was their first power play, and they got right on the board with it, and that at least started things off. And then I give special teams credit both ways, too, obviously. They had a chance to lose the special teams battle with just, one penalty kill going the wrong way. They were on the penalty kill right after that third goal against, too. So it was like the carryover from the first 4 minutes of 3 goals being scored also included a penalty. So now, honestly, if you were watching that game like you talked about and were kind of ready to tune out after 3-0, you probably, if you were hanging in there at that point, were thinking 4-0 was coming. And they killed off that penalty. And I really give them credit in the third period because that situation when Kevin Hayes takes a penalty, it's kind of a ticky-tack call there, and they find a way to kill that one off, too. So the margin stays at 1. The game is within their reach, and they find a way later in the period to make it happen.
I want you, Kevin, this is your 3rd, 4th year on this beat here. So you've been around the captain a lot. He's 33 years old, which, I don't know, in hockey terms, he's on the older side. You don't see, a lot of older guys out there, but you would look at in 3 goals, 14 assists. Last night, it was like one of those moments where you're like, see, he's still got it. Kind of describe to people who maybe question Giroux or aren't sure where he is in his career. What do you like? Where is Claude Giroux at in terms of impact player at this stage of his career?
Well, I think he's still an impact player on any team at this point, but the way that I like to classify it, and I wrote it in the takeaways, is there's people who look at a guy and see the captaincy and see the C on the chest and go, that's got to be the best player on the team. And that's not always the case. Typically, it's a guy who people try to follow that player's lead in terms of preparation, in terms of what they do on and off the ice and how they carry themselves. And that's the guy who represents the team for the room. That's a player decision. It has so much less to do with everything outside of the locker room than it does in the room. So that's why he's the captain and continues to be the captain, is because the players in that room trust him and they believe in him, and he believes in the rest of the team as well to be successful and do their job. But what you are seeing is that, I even sat there and I wrote it in the takeaways. He's not the best player on this team anymore, but there are nights where he showed up and has been in a particular game. And I think you saw that last Wednesday when they played the Rangers and he went out with no ice time after being off the COVID list and had it one of his best games of the year. And then last night as well, you see him still take over a game. You see him still get into those positions.
Right.
And I think the other thing that's really telling about him is his dedication to this franchise. He's got that fire in his eyes in games like that, and you could see it when they were scoring those goals, even the second goal in the second period, where they're just still working their way towards coming back in the game. But he's fired up about that situation, and the game's about half over, and there's still a lot left to be played. It doesn't necessarily indicate that the swing is going to continue in their favor. You still have to work at it for the last half of the game, but it does continue. And then when he's on the ice for the tying goal and scores the winning goal, you see the emotion from him in those spots. And there's a lot of times in the past where we haven't seen that emotion sometimes, but I think the older he gets, the more we're seeing it, because he knows how much time is running out on his career and how important it is to try to make this happen as soon as possible. So when they can win a big game, when they can still keep up in the playoff race, announce their presence as a contender in the division, he's going to get fired up about it, and he's going to try to get everybody else on that team to follow his lead.
Yeah, and last night they kind of highlighted it on the broadcast. You don't realize you're 20 games in. You only got 36 games left. Like if you had 36 games left in a normal season, every game is highlighted. And I felt like they knew how important that game was last night, especially in the third period late. And I thought that Aubé-Kubel pass and Giroux, I don't think got enough credit for keeping himself out of the goal crease and somehow just, boom, getting that in. I mean, somehow they slipped that through about 4 skates, a goalie stick. It was a pretty important win for them last night because a loss, you drop down, then you're playing Pittsburgh after getting beat twice. I thought that was a monumental spot for Giroux to get that game winner.
Yeah, it was, and I'm glad you pointed out the play by Aubé-Kubel as well, because that's just an outstanding pass. And Giroux,
by the way, give JVR credit for keeping that puck into that zone and getting the face-off there.
Yeah, so many little things came out in this. The JVR play before that keeps the face-off in the offensive zone. On Giroux's first goal, there's a subtle little pinch by Justin Braun that keeps the play alive. Braun doesn't even get an assist on the play, but he keeps the play alive, and it extends the shift. I love that goal by Giroux at the end, too, because that was one of the types of goals that burned the Flyers in previous games. We saw at least 2 goals in the first game on Tuesday against Pittsburgh where guys got inside positioning on the goalie, and they're in the crease, and they're around the crease, and they're in that area where they can score. And Claude Giroux gets himself into position, gets that inside positioning, and is there with his stick on the ice waiting for the pass should it come his way, and he just puts it home. I just think that was just such a fitting play for that style of game, the way that they held themselves in that third period. And you're right, the importance of the game in general, because as I wrote in the takeaways, it's not just about winning the game and saying, okay, if you win the game or whether you win or lose, losing the game drops you below the playoff line in the standings, winning keeps you above it. It's the regulation wins. They got the game tied, and I think that they would have been satisfied with getting the game to overtime if you can, because you were down 3-0. You can accept that 1 point, but when you can go out and actually find a way in the last 6.5 minutes to score before that and claim it in regulation, now Pittsburgh gets nothing out of that, no matter how great they played in the first 5 minutes of the game. That's the most important thing.
It's well stated by Kevin Durso. Read his 5 takeaways from the game last night at 97.3ESPN.com. Follow him on Twitter for tomorrow's Flyers Penguins round 3. And then on Sunday, they'll have a Capitals beginning. It'll be Carter Hart on Sunday, Brian Elliott tomorrow, both games on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, you can listen to the game on your phone through the free mobile app. All right, Durso, have a great weekend. A lot of pucks for you. I'm sure you're excited.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, man. And don't forget, check him and Broads out on the Open Ice Hits podcast with their guests, of course, Johnny Goudreau. He appears once a week on that podcast with Kevin Durso and Hunter Brody. Don't forget, today it is our Feed a Family South Jersey. Time's still tough for many of our friends and neighbors here in South Jersey. The ripple effects from this COVID-19 pandemic from last year have still left many without jobs and food. That's why we are proud once again to take part in Feed South Jersey. Go to our website, 973ESPN.com, to donate to help Feed South Jersey. We're teaming up with the Community Food Bank of New Jersey's Southern Branch to make sure families, friends, and neighbors affected by the harsh economic times in Atlantic, Cape May, and Cumberland counties can enjoy the dinner they deserve and need. We invite you to click on the Donate Now button from our website. Every $25 donation for the Community Food Bank provides up to 75 meals to our hungry neighbors. I will get you the up-to-date number on that you guys have donated all day long on the other side.
Hello, South Jersey. This weekend in the locker room with Billy Schwein, as the 50th anniversary of the fight between Ali and Frazier approaches, Saturday we'll talk with Johan Sr. and Jr. of Johan Productions on the last 50 years promoting championship fights. Sunday we'll visit with Lauren Hart before she performs the anthem in front of fans for the first time in a year. Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, and more. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Order! Continue, Ms. Garner.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day.
Objection! My credit card doesn't earn double miles on every purchase.
I object to your objection. With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase.
Order! Please read Counselor's last statement.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase.
I'll allow it.
No further questions, Your Honor. Well, just one. What's in your wallet?
Capital One Bank USA, N.A.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune into Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
If you own a small business, you know how hard it can be to find new customers. Now, Town Square Media has new tools that can help your business stand out and grow. Go to GetLocalCustomersNow.com for a free competitive analysis that will show you what other businesses are doing to find new customers and how you can do it too with Town Square Media. Be one of the first business owners to sign up and receive $500 in free advertising on this station. Start growing your business today. Visit GetLocalCustomersNow.com. That's GetLocalCustomersNow.com.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
If you're struggling with a drug or alcohol addiction, now is the time to take action and get professional help. Call Recovery Centers of America at 1-888-RECOVERY today. You are worthy of recovery from your addiction, and calling RCA will be your first step in getting the help you need. Recovery Centers of America answers the phone and admits patients 24/7, and because safety is a top priority, all patients and staff are routinely tested for COVID-19. RCA's expert team of physicians and medical professionals professionals will treat you with compassion and dignity and provide an evidence-based treatment plan that is custom-tailored to your specific needs. Recovery Centers of America at Devon and Lighthouse are local and in-network with insurance providers, so they're best-in-class inpatient and outpatient care, offered both in-person and via teletherapy, is affordable and accessible. Make this the year you conquer your addiction. Call today, 1-888-RECOVERY. That's 1-888-RECOVERY.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Sports is using technology to take the fan experience to the next level. When it comes to hiring, there's one solution that's been advancing its technology for years, ZipRecruiter. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/max. ZipRecruiter's technology identifies people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. No wonder 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/max. That's ZipRecruiter.com/max.
The radio home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Sports Bash brought to you by Matt Black Kia. They want to get you approved today. 6211 Blackhorse Pike in Egg Harbor Township. It is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app, which you can download on your phone. Go to our website, 973ESPN.com, and watch the show live. By the way, we have our Feed a Family today, as we've been mentioning. You can go to our website, 973ESPN.com. to donate. It's easy to do. Right now, this is pretty amazing. Throughout the day, South Jersey families, our current total is over $26,000. It's enough to provide over 80,000 meals for people of South Jersey. You can feed South Jersey now with your donation. Just go to our website, 973ESPN.com. Over 80,000 families will have a meal thanks to our listeners today. So thank you. Continue to donate if you haven't done so yet at 973ESPN.com. All right. Inside the Sixers coming up at 3:20. We'll talk a little Sixers. There's a name that is coming out that the Sixers will have some interest in. We'll get into that with Hudrick at 3:20. But a lot of conversation going on in the chat here about the mock draft today. It is the latest mock draft. It's up right now at 973ESPN.com. Go check that out from Todd Mcshay, who has his third mock draft. Now, his first mock draft, he had the Eagles taking Micah Parsons. His second mock draft, he had the Eagles taking Jamar Chase. In his third mock draft, he has the Eagles taking Kyle Pitts. Now, Tony Quigley jumps in. He says Pitts is a great fit for a number of teams. But in Mcshay's mock draft, he has the quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks. Very unrealistic. Dolphins and Bengals both need offensive help. Pitts may not be there. Well, here's the thing. I did see the mock draft that he had that had the 4 quarterbacks going back to back to back to back, which I agree. I certainly don't see that happening with some of the teams in there. But here's the other part of it. He does mention in there that there's trade possibilities. One of them is Miami. He has Carolina jumping up to number 3 to draft a quarterback. Not unrealistic. So that means the Dolphins wouldn't be there. He also, in this mock draft, has the Bengals taking a offensive tackle, Penei Sewell. So his mock draft has changed since the last one. That was, in my mind, a little bit unrealistic, that 4 players 4 quarterbacks would go in a row at the top of the draft. This one, he's got Trevor Lawrence 1, the Jets taking Zach Wilson 2, Carolina trading up to take Justin Fields 3, Atlanta taking Trey Lance 4, the Bengals taking Penei Sewell 5, and the Eagles taking Pitts at number 6. So, what is so special about Kyle Pitts? This is what Todd Mcshay told Greeny today here on 97.3.
What makes him special is his ability to, first of all, play all over the field. You can play him inline, you can play him, in the slot, you can use him as a wide receiver. And then after the catch, this guy, he is special. He really is. He's got a chance to be the 11th tight end in the history of the NFL draft to be a top 8 pick. Think about that. How many guys that we've seen, and I put him ahead of the wide receivers. I put him ahead of Devontae Smith. I put him ahead of Jamar Chase, and I did it because I just think that he's such a matchup piece. In today's NFL, you can utilize him in so many different ways.
In today's NFL, you can utilize him in so many different ways. He goes on to write this at ESPN.com. Despite the Eagles' glaring weakness at wide receiver, I'm mixing it up with Pitts at number 6. It'd be the 10th time a tight end has been drafted before the first receiver off the board, and only 4 other tight ends have ever been taken in the top 6. But here's the thing. Quote, Pitts is more than just a tight end. He's a matchup nightmare who can line up all over the place. He has great speed and great hands, and at 6'6", it makes him extremely difficult to contain. Philadelphia should add receiving help in free agency, but a Pitts-Dallas Goedert pairing is a dream for any offensive coordinator. That is what Todd Mcshay wrote in his latest mock draft, and that is why a lot of people are starting to say, should I go with this unique player? Now, Justin Maldonado is watching the show on YouTube. He says, in order to use a weapon, you need to be creative. The Eagles system will be simple. I don't know why you would say that. I don't know what evidence we have that Nick Sirianni's system is going to be a simple system. And by the way, nothing that says that you can't have a simple system and creatively use a weapon within that. You can have a lot of simple concepts for that weapon. Hey, we're going to go double tight to one side. We're going to put Goddard in the slot, and we're going to put Pitts on the outside. Defense, you figure out how you're going to match up with these two guys. You got a 6'6" guy playing on the X wideout position, right? You're going to put Kyle Pitts way on the outside out there at 6'6". How are you going to match up then with him on the outside and Dallas Goedert at 6'5", 260 pounds playing on the inside? If you put one guy in the slot and the other guy on the outside on the same side of the field, what kind of defensive coordinator, what are you going to dial up as a defensive coordinator, I guess would be my question. How do you how do you go about defending that? That's a tough one. And also, Jalen Reagor, keep him in the mix too. I know we're all down on him because of the season that he had, and then Justin Jefferson had a good year, so that made people even more angry. But let's not discount on who Jalen Reagor can be. And I would say this. You want to add players that will help Reagor be the best version of himself. And a guy like Pitts, I think, does that for you. 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. Anthony James says, I disagree with Justin Maldonado. Pitts is a mismatch nightmare. You don't have to scheme a trick play offense for him to be an impact. He's a weapon defenses have a game plan for, just his very presence. I agree with you, Anthony James. You can have a simplistic offense. If you have a major weapon in the simple offense, you can still be simple and have a weapon. My weapon is I have a 6'6" guy who complements my 6'5" tight end very well. I can go double tight in tight. I can go one in the slot, one on the X. I can go double slot. I can stack them. I can use these guys in a variety of ways. It can still be simple. Everything doesn't have to be so crazy analytically nuts. You don't have to have, some wild name of a play. Like everybody thinks the Rams have this like crazy in-depth offense. They haven't won nothing. They've won Zippo. Meanwhile, people thought that Doug Peterson had a very simplistic offense. They won a Super Bowl with that simple offense. And by the way, had a text message before. I would be bummed out. This is from Terry of Galloway. Terry says, I would be bummed out if the Eagles take a tight end at 6. They already have a tight end, and 2 tight ends doesn't work. In what world do you live in, Terry, where 2 tight ends don't work? He says, don't tell me about the Patriots of 10 years ago. Okay, I don't need to tell you about the Patriots of 10 years ago. I will tell you that the Eagles' best offense was when they had the double tight end. I don't need to go to the Patriots of 10 years ago. I can go to the Buccaneers of this year, who ran 2 tight end sets almost exclusively. And they would have had 3 tight ends had O.J. Howard not got hurt. And there's a reason. You don't mention the Patriots' 2 tight ends. There's a reason they went with 2 tight ends, because it made a matchup nightmare for teams. If teams don't do dual tight ends, because they can't find 2 tight ends. If you have 2 tight ends, the Eagles used a double tight end 2 years ago, almost 54% of the time. Why? Well, they had Dallas Goedert and they had Zach Ertz. If you have those 2 guys, guess what? One guy had 58 catches for 607 yards. You know why? And that was Goddard, by the way. You throw Ertz into the mix, and the problem becomes you have 2 guys that are matchup problems. And the Eagles had a pretty successful run with their 2 tight ends. That year, 600 yards for Goddard, 900 yards for Ertz. Ertz in 2018, he had 1,100 yards. And in 2018, he had 1,100 yards. You look at Goddard in 2018, which was his rookie season, he averaged he had 334 yards and 4 touchdowns. So you give me a better athlete and now have Goddard into his prime years, you're going to have major problems trying to figure out how to defend that team. Rob Gamble is checking in. He says, ain't no way I'm taking Pitts if Chase is there. I felt the same way, Rob. At first, I said Chase is my guy, and I put the tape in. Well, now it's just YouTube. You don't put a tape in anymore, but I implore you, Rob, to go watch Pitts play, and you might change your mind. I did. All I did was, I said, look, I saw Pitts play this year. I did not see Chase play this year. Chase did not play this year. Saw Chase play 2 years ago, a couple times. Saw Pitts play this year. He had the game, I think, his last game of the year that he played. He had like 9 catches for 128 yards. You want to hear something crazy about Kyle Pitts, by the way? He had over 100 touches in his college career. He never fumbled the ball once. I mean, by accident, you fumble, right? Just one time. That's how big and strong this kid's hands are. It's crazy. Now, I will say this, Tony. You mentioned that the Eagles use tight ends a league high. Remember, they have a new staff. So you say the Eagles system is a perfect fit. They do have a new staff. So I don't know that. No, that doesn't preclude me from thinking that they would use 2 tight ends. Sirianni was the coach in San Diego. They had Gates out there. So I do think that they can figure out a way to utilize the 2 tight ends. Terry, guess what? You won't be bummed out if the Eagles take a tight end at 6, because they won't take a tight end at 6. You know why? Because Pitts ain't a tight end. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. Don't you think you need a tight end that can block? They have one. Goddard can block, and Pitts actually blocks pretty well. He gives an effort, that's for sure. He's not the best blocker in the world, but he's a big guy. He'll block. Goddard's a pretty good blocker. He's turned himself into a pretty good blocker. So, yeah, and they probably would have a third tight end on the team that would be utilized as a blocker, too. You might bring Richard Rodgers back and have him as your third tight end. So don't wipe that out either. Good conversation. By the way, right now at 97.3 ESPN.com, find out what Jason Peters had to say when it comes to Carson Wentz's time in Philadelphia. Pretty interesting story. It's up now at 97.3 ESPN.com. We are just getting started. Well, actually, we're over an hour into the show, but we're having a lot of fun, and it feels like we're just getting started. Chris Crawford says, quietly, I believe the Eagles are rebuilding. Well, I don't know if it's quiet. I believe they don't believe in Jalen Hurts. I disagree with that, and I can explain that coming up. I will do that for you because there was something yesterday that told me that the Eagles have a ton of belief in Jalen Hurts, Chris. So stick around for that. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. This is 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And watch the show live on our website, 97.3ESPN.com. I appreciate each and every one of you guys who are a part of the chat, who are watching the show. And if you're out there listening, watch the show on your phone. Watch the show on your television. Watch the show on your laptop. I got a cool 3/4 zip on today. Anybody agree? In the chat, you like my 3/4 zip today? Each day you can judge my 3/4 zip. I wear a different one almost every single day. How's my 3/4 zip game today? What would you say? Pretty strong, huh? Thumbs up from Josh. Wait till Pete Thompson sees this one. I mean, this is a strong 3/4. And, like, I got the 3/4 zip, but underneath I accentuated just perfectly. Elliot says, I love it, Mike. Elliot, appreciate it, man. Back with more Bash.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's football at 4 every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead with male breast reduction. Many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your private consultation with Dr. Lyle and Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER, or visit ilovelyle.back.com.
2 chocolate chip muffins coming in. Thank you.
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Hey, can someone get that?
Like at Claire's Cafe. To satisfy demand for takeout, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
If you drive a car, truck, SUV, or vehicle of any kind, you need Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. That's right. With the free Get Upside gas app, you can get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time you buy gas. Nearly 3 million people have earned cash back with Get Upside just for buying gas.
I always use Get Upside. Some months I make $200 to $300.
I love getting money back for things I use every day. It's just free money for buying gas.
There's no catch. It's simple. And you get your cash back right away.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code OIL for a 50-cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 75 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Earn cash back on gas on every fill-up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code OIL for a 50-cent per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code OIL.
Thinking about life insurance? Did you know in just a few minutes you can find the best price from up to 10 price competitive companies for free? You can with SelectQuote. For example, George is 39. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $22 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino, and believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-461-4545. That's 800-461-4545. 800-461-4545 or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
O'Reilly.
This is Jesse's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
As a nurse, not making it to work was not an option. But driving through the snow with my wiper blades struggling, I just didn't feel safe. So I pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts, and before I knew it, an employee was offering to install the wiper blades on my car. I got to stay out of the snow for a moment, and I still made it to work on time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We know you're spending a lot of time at home, and maybe that home could use a little TLC. Since going to a home show isn't really a thing right now, 97.3 ESPN FM is bringing the home show to you. Local exhibitors have been setting up in a virtual show featuring the latest products and services for your home. Go to 973ESPN.com to find great articles on home improvement tips and trends. Thanks to our friends at Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadleys.net, your trusted source for 3 generations.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 973ESPN.com.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Time for a little Inside the Sixers, brought to you by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Your local provider makes it easy to upgrade your home to the most energy-efficient equipment on the market. Plus, learn how to get free furnaces during the month of March only online at broadleys.net. Paul Hudrick is our Sixers insider for 97.3 ESPN.com. There he is, jumping in to the Boardwalk Honda hotline and up on the video screen as we get you ready for All-Star Weekend. But there's so much to dive into with this Sixers team. By the way, last night we saw Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. I was off. I said I thought Embiid would be the first pick. He ended up being the 4th pick last night. I didn't realize that Durant was going to take Kyrie Irving first, which was kind of you can't really I didn't know the loyalty was so strong between the net guys, right?
Yeah, that's all that was. It's his guy. I mean, hey, that's why they both teamed up and decided to go to Brooklyn together. So, of course, they want to be on the same team for the All-Star game. So
now, I will say, when LeBron took Ben, that was like the biggest. Like Durant was like, "Oh man, I wanted Ben Simmons." Like that was the one guy. There was a couple, but playful. But it seemed that Durant was interested in Ben Simmons. So Ben went with the 2nd pick to LeBron of the reserve. So LeBron has Ben, and Embiid is on Durant's team. So that's where those guys went last night. I do want to get into the betting odds that start this second half. They're going to come out to start the second half, Paul, with Joel Embiid as the favorite to win the MVP in the league. And really, I mean, we've talked so much about Ben. You wrote Joel, you wrote this great piece that I implore everyone to go read about. We're running out of words to kind of describe him. But what I asked was, and this isn't a trolling question, if you never win a championship with this group, was it still worth ending up with Joel Embiid, to lose for a couple of years and you have Embiid, and maybe you don't win a championship, but I am at the point where he's almost more fun now than Allen Iverson.
And you know what, Mike? When you bring up Allen Iverson, that's what I think about when I think about the idea of when we talk about, was the process worth it? You think about the time after the Sixers traded Allen Iverson up until the time that they got Joel Embiid and for him to be playing at this level, there has not been a player, and there have been some good players. Andre Iguodala was here, Drew Holiday was here. There have been some good players, but no one. Think about that gap between Allen Iverson and Joel Embiid. There has been nobody like that in that entire time frame, and you might never have gotten that if you didn't do what you did. I understand, people don't like losing on purpose. I get it, but I think it was an ends to justify the means kind of thing, and we're seeing the fruits of that. Like, this guy is the favorite to be the MVP of the league, and for good reason. He absolutely should be, as they sit here right now. And then not just him, but yes, I know Brian Colangelo was the one who technically drafted Ben Simmons, but let's be realistic. The strategy that was in place is how Ben Simmons arrived here. So to have those two guys in place, that is why, to me, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, but when we talk about all these trade scenarios, why I'm not afraid to give up young assets and young players and trade draft picks, because I know that those two are here for the long haul, and they are all-stars. They are perennial all-stars. And like I said, Joel Embiid is an MVP caliber player. We have not seen that since Allen Iverson. So that, to me, yes, makes it worth it.
Well, okay. So everybody seems to have like their own definition of what, like, and it's not like, hey, tell me what the process is, but like a lot of people feel like if you don't win a championship, that it was a failed decision. I've never been in that camp. Like, you can't guarantee a championship. What it was is, to me, it was a business decision by the franchise. That organization had zero enthusiasm behind it. Nobody cared. And now Sixers Twitter is a cesspool because you care so much, and you only care for one reason, because you believe that they can win. And the Sixers organization, of course, had a say. Well, this is about winning multiple championships. Of course, that's what they want. But the end result was that business decision was to make business boom again, and it was a grand slam home run. That building is electric. It's sold out every night, and now they have the player that they lost for. You have to have an MVP in this league to win a championship, and they now have that. To me, it was maybe one of the greatest organizational decisions that they've ever made.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree, Mike. It really is, because again, you look at the what was going on before that, when the Doug Collins era, and just the mediocrity. I listen again. There were good players on that team, but that team was never good. That you can't tell me. Even when they were, there was that they beat the Bulls in the first round that one year because Rose, Derrick Rose's knee blew up, and then they go to the second round. They take the remnants of that Celtics team to 7 games. You're going to tell me that was even remotely as exciting as what you felt with this team over the last couple of years? Like, no, this team gives you a chance. Again, those two players, if you have Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, you have a chance every year to compete and to possibly compete at a high level. Last year was obviously a huge disappointment, but other than that, 2 years ago, they made it to the second round, to Game 7, a couple bounces away from maybe going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then 3 years ago, when they lost to Boston at the beginning of the year, if I had told you with a rookie Ben Simmons and a second-year Joel Embiid that they were going to get to where they got, you would have gladly taken that. So I just think when you put it all in, when you contextualize the whole events that transpired because of the process, because of that catalyst and what they did to get here, yes, it was worth it. The strategy made sense. You have two transcendent, like, all-star players. You haven't had this since the 80s. You haven't had multiple all-stars for multiple years since Dr. J and Moses Malone. I mean,
think about, Paul, think about how much they sucked out of having Iverson. Really, with Iverson, they had one special season. Other than that, the team was never any good. I mean, they were a first-round exit almost every single year, but you just kept paying to go back to see Iverson. And that was it. You paid to see Iverson. When Iverson left, the team wasn't any good after 01. They weren't any good before 01. They were good for 1 year. So anything they tried to do from pre-Iverson to post going to the finals, it did not work. But what worked was, we have Iverson, and people will come and see him. Heck, they let him go, and they brought him back, and he played like 10 games, and those games sold out because of Iverson. The organization understood we need that level of player. And look, I will be the first to admit, it wasn't perfect. They made a lot of mistakes. Now, some of those mistakes had to do with Hinkie was here, then he was replaced. You brought Colangelo in. He gets booted. You bring Brett Brown in as the GM. He made a couple of bonehead decisions as the GM. Then you bring in Elton Brand. You had 4 different visions for how to build a team that had – it was like Iverson, though. They can never figure out what to do around Iverson, and I only hope that they don't have that same problem around these two guys, that you have these two guys here and that they never know they never had the right piece around Iverson, and I don't know that they have the right 2 pieces or the right pieces around these two guys, but I hope it's not a 10-year dog chasing his tail trying to find the right two pieces.
Well, you look at what Daryl Morey did. I mean, he just went back. Well, a couple of things he did. He consulted with those players and said, like, what can we do to improve? And then he looked back on, well, this was the best you guys have ever played together, and you were surrounded by shooting. So let's go ahead and do that again. And you're seeing the results of that in the first half of the season. Right now, those two, like when we look at it, when you look at their careers and them playing together, there is not, I can't remember a stretch with those two on the floor together where they have both been playing this well. And that's huge. You know, them learning kind of, because Mike, it wasn't that long ago that the big question was, oh man, can these guys even play together? We like so many people were calling to break them up last year. Now you wouldn't even dream of it with the state of the team right now. Now, if you suggested that, you'd be crazy. But listen, I thought it was crazy a year ago, but there were plenty of people who were behind that who said, oh no, you have to either ride with Ben Simmons, you have to ride with Joel Embiid. You can't make it work with both. Now you're seeing, you know what? I think you can make it work with both. Now, I think there's going to be other pieces that need to be involved, but this is a team that has the best record in the Eastern Conference for a reason. They are a really good basketball team. There are better fitting pieces around them this year than there were at any point last year. You could even argue 2 years ago, just from a pure fit standpoint. And I think that's what Daryl Morey has done. He has recognized, okay, these two guys are my guys. What do I need to do to bring out the most in them? And the answer really is shooting. And now I think you need a guy, maybe a ball handler might be the other option now. But I think that you have the right guy in charge. You have a guy who's smart, who's going to identify that, who's going to keep that has been his vision all along since he arrived. It has been, I have two all-stars. My goal is to do everything I can to maximize their talents and to get the most out of them and to maximize my roster.
Yeah, the irony of all this, like I would love to see, people want to see the 30 for 30 on the process. I want to see the 30 for 30 on what Hinkie would have done in the year that Colangelo was in charge, what he would have done in that draft with Fultz. That we'll never know. That whole thing threw this thing into a whole loop. But I will say the irony here is that Hinkie's former boss is now the guy who gets to clean up the mess that happened post Hinkie. Pretty funny. So with that, it looks like the trade names are going to start coming up. I know it. PJ Tucker's name is starting to come up. I don't know that does much for you. It doesn't do much for me. I think Morey is going to be attached because, of course, he was in Houston, and I feel like that is the reason there. Does that do anything for you?
It does a little bit. Listen, I've been talking to people on Twitter about it all day. And it's not. I don't look at it as, oh man, you get PJ Tucker, now you're a finals favorite. No, of course not. That's ridiculous. But I think he's having a bad year, but it's that. Name me a guy on that Rockets team other than Christian Wood that is having a good year. They're terrible. They're just not a good team. They're ill-fitting and it just doesn't work. And Tucker doesn't want to be there. He hasn't wanted to be there from the beginning. He's not happy with his contract. He wanted to be traded along with James Harden. He doesn't want to be there. So I would say throw out what if you've seen him this year, throw that out. What we've seen in the past and what we've seen him be able to do in the playoffs is 1, make a corner 3, and 2, be very versatile and tough defensively. So bringing a guy like that in who can, I would say maybe not 1 through 5, but 2 through 5 can guard. That's a big deal. And has done it at a high level, has done it in the playoffs. Like everyone thinks back to that year, that Rockets team took Golden State to Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals. PJ Tucker was a huge part of why that happened. He just, again, his ability to guard multiple positions and to do it tough and to be physical and just that bulldog mentality, he's got that in a big way. And I think if he winds up here, leaving Houston, being reunited with Daryl Morey on a team that's as good as this, that's, trying to win a title, I think that rejuvenates him in a big way. Yeah. And I think he could be a good bench piece. Again, that's, to me, 1, he's not the savior. You're going to need, and you're going to need more. He's not going to be the only move if that's one move they make.
Fair enough. And I guess what I'm saying is I'm not giving up anything of value.
Yeah, a second-round pick would be the ultimate thing. Right. Yeah. Trade exception, second-round pick.
I'm not, if someone's saying, well, if you want Tucker, you need to give me Thibault, then I'm like, no.
No, yeah, that would be absurd because Thibault is, to me, a rotation player right now. So I'm certainly not giving up a rotation player or a Tyrese Maxey for him because that's too much value there.
Belitza, did he do anything for you?
A little bit. As a stretch five, kind of like when we talked about Muscala the other day, the idea that one trade that was proposed where they would get Lou Williams and Muscala, Bielitsa fits that same kind of mold where he could play the five, like a small ball five, and he could play the stretch four. Again, another guy that I don't think you can look at this year's performance and use that as a barometer because one, he's been in and out of the rotation all season long, and two, that Kings team is a mess. So look at his past performances where he was around 40% from three. That's more the player you would be looking at. He'd be good for situations where, Dwight Howard isn't in. And like we've seen when Dwight Howard has a good matchup, he can be impactful. But when he has a bad matchup, it can get ugly. So, when you go up against a Chris Boucher to have a guy like Bielitsa that you can turn to and give you some stretch 5 minutes, I think it would be good. I don't think it's like a huge upgrade. My guess would be, I don't know this. I don't have any inside knowledge of it. My guess would be, I would think Doc Rivers would prefer to stick with Mike Scott and try to let Mike Scott earn his way into that role as opposed to getting a Bielitsa, but we'll see how that plays out.
All right, Brooklyn is believed to be the leaders to sign Blake Griffin. What does that do for Brooklyn and this Eastern Conference race?
On its face, nothing as of right now, because I just don't know what Blake Griffin is, what he's going to be. If you're Brooklyn, it makes sense because you need some depth. You could use a bench option like him, and he's going to sign for the minimum. So kind of why not? Because they could really use that depth. But I just don't know what he is. The games we've seen this year, he's been bad. He just looks slow, just no explosion whatsoever. So I don't know where that knee is. He had knee surgery, obviously, that cut his season, a couple of years ago short. So I don't know where he is physically. If he can get back, he's never going to be that guy again, that high flying Lob City Blake Griffin. But if he can be Blake Griffin from a couple of years ago where, he showed that he can stretch his game out a little bit, hit some threes, can still maybe score in the post a little bit. He has improved as a playmaker and a passer. So I don't think he's got some value. I just don't know how much. For the Sixers, I don't think it would have made sense because you would have had to dump somebody on your roster, which I don't know that there's anybody worth eating that cap hit for. But for Brooklyn, yeah, he makes a ton of sense on a minimum deal.
All right. I'll ask you this question that just came in on the text board here. It says, Mike, can you or someone please tell me how the Sixers get past the Nets when nobody on the Sixers starting lineup can score in the playoffs because Joel and Durant will be a wash. As far as scoring, the rest of the team can't score with Harden and Kyrie. So do they Sixers as constructed have enough firepower?
My initial instinct is no, that I still think they do need another piece. But with that said, I don't think the Tobias Harris that you saw last year in the playoffs, I mean, this isn't even the same guy. I mean, he looks like a completely different player this season. So you would hope that he would be better than he was in the playoffs last year. Listen, when they played Brooklyn in that first round a couple of years ago, Tobias Harris was actually really good in that series, if you recall, in that first round. Now, he obviously wasn't as good in that Toronto series. He was very up and down, but that was his first postseason run. Last year, he was bad. I mean, there's no other way to say it. He wasn't very good, but I don't think he was good at all last season, at least not to the level he has been this season. He's been monumentally better. And then also Ben Simmons, I think, is learning how to score in the half court. And I think he's become such a better scorer than he was. Didn't even get to play in the playoffs last year, but 2 years ago, what you saw, I think he is light years away from where he was in that Toronto series when they played. So I think that's where you're going to get some more scoring. But do I think they could use more? Yes, I do. I think they could use another playmaker. They could use another guy that could create off the dribble. Absolutely. I think that is, beyond a stretch four or PJ Tucker type, that is the guy I think they need the most, a shot creator and a shot maker.
Yeah, and I would also tell that guy and contend, if you can get another defensive player, I would take my chances with what I have and just lock down defensively. I talked about this yesterday. Those Golden State teams that won titles were great offensively, but people forget Klay Thompson and Draymond were great defensive players that the Nets don't have. They didn't have to outscore everybody because they could get stops. Can the Nets get stops in close games?
And listen, that backcourt, Kyrie and Harden, that's a liability defensively. I mean, James Harden, at this point is probably a little exaggerated, his defense, how bad it
Durant's
is. It's
a pretty
not
good
that
defensive
bad.
player. Durant's a good defender, by the way.
Durant is. Oh, absolutely. Because of his length and when he's engaged, he's actually a very good defender. I think that's the guy in their starting five that you can't, but like, and even Joe Harris. Joe Harris is like fine. Like he's okay at best. As like he's a pretty good team defender. But and like DeAndre Jordan isn't the guy. Again, another guy. He's not the Lob City DeAndre Jordan. He is not that guy anymore. So
you just brought up Joe Harris, man. I could talk about this series. I can't wait to see if this series actually goes. But Joe Harris is the kind of guy in a playoff series that teams just take out. Like they have great regular.
Sixers did it
right. They have great, but guys who are one-dimensional shooters. You know, you watch film on them one night on Tuesday night in February, and you're like, okay, whatever. You watch that guy in the playoffs, he's not getting a look. So one of their big weapons, their secondary weapon, you take that guy out in playoff series. So when you have a guy like Harris that you depend on, you put that guy in a playoff series, and he gets locked down, and that kind of negates him. So I don't know. I think it's going to be such a fun matchup. Hopefully we get to see it. And who knows? The Bucks might say, hey, don't forget about us. I think Miami could be a factor in the second half. I don't know. Does Boston have another run on them? They're probably going to make a deal. So this Eastern Conference, this second half, and we talked about it, that Sixers schedule is not kind.
No, it is not kind. That road trip is brutal. I think it's like six road games in a row. Then they come home for a back-to-back, and then are right back out on the West Coast. It's brutal. And then they play a back-to-back on the road in Milwaukee. Like that's, there's just some brutal stretches there. And that's why, to me, like you have to make moves because I don't think you could be content where you are. You can't be complacent at that one seed because Brooklyn's coming for you. As you mentioned, the Heat, they're not going to be they're going to be better in the second half. They're going to get healthy. Boston's going to make a move or two. You would think they're probably going to get a more respectable big than what they have now. And then, of course, Milwaukee, like you said, Milwaukee, you can't sleep on Milwaukee. They had a bad stretch recently, but that was mostly without Drew Holiday. So you throw him back in the mix. And again, all these teams are going to look to improve their rosters. They're going to be in on guys like PJ Tucker. They're going to be in on guys like, maybe not a Kyle Lowry, but they're going to be in on some very good players. So it's not a time to get complacent. They're going to have to make a move or two to strengthen the team and also just lengthen the depth of the roster and match up better. I think that's the biggest thing for me is when the playoffs start, I want Doc Rivers to be like, okay, I have this piece if this happens. I have this piece if that happens. I just want him to have options. So if things don't work out, you can turn to different types of players.
You get a guy like Bjelica. You get a guy like Bjelica. One series, maybe Howard's the better matchup. The next series, maybe he's not the right guy. And now you have a second option that's a better fit for a different team. I trust Morey that he's thinking about the things that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, 100%. And this is what Daryl Morey does. I mean, look at it goes back to what we started talking about when we talked about building around Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. What did Daryl Morey do in Houston? His focus was all about how do I do this best to suit James Harden. Ultimately, it didn't work out. They didn't win a title, but that was always his approach. And it was the right approach because he had a star player. He had one of the greatest offensive players in NBA history. So everything he did, he thought, what is the best to complement James Harden? How can I do that best? And it evolved. As the game evolved, it evolved too. Like at one point he got Dwight Howard in there. Then he realized, all right, well, the game's kind of going away from guys like Dwight Howard. So let me get a little bit, let me get another ball handler here in Chris Paul. I'm like, he was always kind of thinking, how can I make this better? How can I match up better? How can I best utilize the players that I already have and surround them with the best possible talent? And then Doc Rivers, what can I do to give Doc Rivers the guys that fit his style of play? And I think that's what makes him so great, and that he's not afraid to take chances, and that he's going to look at every possible option to do that. I think that's what makes Daryl Morey such a great executive, and I think that's why the Sixers are extraordinarily lucky to have him.
He's Paul Hudrick at Paul Hudrick on Twitter. He's the host of the Coming In for a Landing podcast. And check out all his Sixers coverage at 97.3 ESPN.com. He's back on Monday. We'll look back at the All-Star weekend, the second half. Great storylines. Paul, have a good weekend, man.
You as well, Mike. Take care, man.
All right. He, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Always great to catch up with Paul and good conversation, as always, on our Inside the Sixers. Hey, guys. want to tell you about my friends at Trifecta Therapeutics. They are the premier sports rehab and performance center, and they're located centrally for everyone within the sound of my voice in Glassboro, New Jersey. The team at Trifecta has the only sports manual therapy fellowship trained doc on staff in all of the state of New Jersey, and their team will always take a unique approach to physical therapy and rehab, with each of their clients using treatment plans to get you feeling better, playing better, and, of course, staying better. My friends at Trifecta Therapeutics, they offer a range of services for active lifestyle clients, including physical therapy, ACL injuries, rehab, script-free physical therapies, sports performance training, and more. Their doors are open to anyone who's listening right now and needs rehab, therapy, post-op treatment, pain relief, and more. Whether you're a weekend warrior or finely tuned athlete at the highest level, competing collegiate leagues, Trifecta helps the pros and the Joes. To find out more about the incredible team at Trifecta Therapeutics in Glassboro and how they can help you, online at trifectatherapeutics.com. Don't let that injury linger, especially if you're old. It doesn't work out well in the end. Trust me. All right, thanks to Paul. When we come back, I'll read your comments if you're watching the show live. And, of course, you can text the show if you're listening on the radio at 609-403-0973. Football at 4 with Adam Kaplan in 15 minutes.
Sunday on ESPN Radio, the 2021 NBA All-Star Game.
LeBron James, are you kidding me?
Luka Doncic just won it for the Mavericks.
Home by the Greek Freak.
Team LeBron versus Team Durant. Plus, don't miss the AT&T Slam Dunk at halftime.
The place is here, the time is now. The top of the world, and I can't come down.
The 2021 NBA All-Star Game. It's the NBA on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins after Flyers hockey.
You have the choice, whether it's going out for dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant or buying that new outfit from a local boutique. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local businesses.
First Bank of Sea Isle City, Cape May County's community bank.
Dr. Lyle M. Back for everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery. Go to ilovelylback.com.
Egg Harbor Independent Branch Leader at Charles Schwab in the Consumer Square Shopping Plaza.
Filling Marble and Tile Outlet, Philadelphia Avenue and Route 30 in Egg Harbor City. FillingMarble.com.
Intuitive Women's Health in Summers Point, accepting new patients. Schedule an appointment today at intuitivewomenshealth.net.
East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows services all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. Call East Coast today at 609-646-1444. Online at eastcoastroofing.com.
Thank you for supporting your local businesses. From Town Square Media, South Jersey.
This is Cape May County Commissioner Len Desiderio. We are making progress in the fight against COVID. Please get tested and quarantine if you are positive to prevent the spread. Testing remains very important to our efforts. Everyone is frustrated by the slow supply of vaccine, but we are working with the state to get more doses to Cape May County, and we thank you for your patience. Make sure you are registered with the state at covidvaccine.nj.gov or call 855-568-0545 for personal assistance. COVID has used up so much of our patience, but we need just a little more. Thank you for all of your hard work. Now we have to finish strong, safely together.
Hey, sports bettors, it's Mike Gill, and I wanted to share with you how I've been cashing in on the PropSwap sports bets resale app. On average, sellers on PropSwap have been making $500 a month. It's easy. Just post all your betting tickets for sale on PropSwap and let them find you a buyer. Listing your ticket is always free, and if it sells, great. But if not, the bet is still yours to keep. If you're not selling sports bets on PropSwap, you're missing out on incredible side hustle. Start making extra money today by downloading the PropSwap app and selling your sports bets.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Home is where the heart is, and with a $138 million Powerball jackpot win, home could look a lot different than it does now. With all those millions, a Cape May mansion could be yours. So take a chance on Powerball. Anything can happen in Jersey.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, some news from the Phillies who beat the Pirates today 3-0 in a Grapefruit League game. Bryce Harper with a 2-run bomb in the game opposite field. But the center field position just got interesting in that Adam Hastly is out 4 weeks with a groin strain, which means this is interesting now. So Hastly suffered a moderate groin strain yesterday. Joe Girardi said he's out 4 weeks, which means he will not be ready for opening day, which means now the opening day center field battle is between 3 guys. It was 4 or maybe 4 again if you want to throw Mickey Moniak into the mix, who hit 2 home runs the other day, although I would not think that Moniak is really in the running there. But this is what I'll say. I did my 10 predictions for the Phillies season over at 973ESPN.com. And Adam Hastly being out of the mix in center field has certainly added to the possibility of one of my predictions becoming accurate, which was coupled with the fact that he has performed pretty well so far. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but there's a good possibility that if you take Hastly out of the mix, right, if Hastly's out of the mix, and keep in mind, what does Hastly do? He plays multiple positions in the outfield. He also bats left-handed. And that is an interesting conundrum here for the Philadelphia Phillies. Because if you were saying, hey, no one's going to win the job in center field, it's going to be a platoon. We're going to go with the left-handed batting Hastly and the right-handed batting Quinn again. They could do that. But guess who bats left-handed? Odubel Herrera. Odubel Herrera has started the last couple of games playing what position? Right field. So the Phillies have already kind of said, hey, we want to see if Odubel Herrera can play right field. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him playing left field at some point during spring training here. He homered, he singled, he threw out a runner at home plate the other day. Well, he didn't throw the runner out at home plate, but he made a tremendous play in right field, picked the ball up, hit the cutoff man, and then the cutoff man fired a strike home. And I don't think the Phillies, and we've talked to Frank about this, we've talked to Bob Wankel about this, guys who cover the Phillies, who are around that team a lot. I don't think the Phillies thought that they were going to have Herrera in the mix to make this team. But if he keeps hitting and he shows he can play multiple outfield positions, and now Adam Hastly is not going to be ready to start the season on the everyday roster, I think it opens up a spot legitimately that Herrera could start not only the season in center field, but possibly be in the lineup on opening day. And you might say, well, why would he be in the lineup on opening day? Well, he's a left-handed batter, and you are facing the Braves, who I would imagine are going to throw Ian Anderson or Charlie Morton on opening day. Both of those guys are right-handed pitchers. So you would have your left-handed center fielder opening the lineup, opening day in the lineup. And by the way, we talked about this before with Odubel Herrera. Herrera was a guy that in the previous regime, when he was an all-star, was batting anywhere from first, second, or third in the lineup. Now, I'm not suggesting that you're going to hit him that high in the lineup to start things off. However, he is a left-handed bat. What's to say that he doesn't end up platooning with Andrew McCutchen in left field and hitting leadoff the days that he plays left field? McCutchen bats leadoff the days that he plays left field. You could see a scenario where they utilize Herrera in a platoon in both center field and in left field. Don't discount Herrera's newfound versatility, and that the Phillies, I told you I disagreed with Frank and Bob when they talked about this. I think the Phillies want to see if Herrera can play multiple positions in the outfield. He bats left-handed, and that's a way to say, all right, and now Adam Hastly getting hurt, I think you might see Odubel Herrera make this team out of spring training. It's something that you probably didn't think could have happened, but he played both games, has a couple of hits already, including the home run. Then he throws a guy out at the plate. He's playing right field. I think now with the injury to Hastly, you'll probably see him play some left field. And all of a sudden, things get more interesting down there. By the way, some interesting news with the Eagles, and I want to get into it coming up on the other side with Adam Kaplan. This should be a very interesting edition of Football at 4. We will have details on why the Eagles and Jason Kelce agreed on a new contract today. Darius Slay restructured. What does it mean? Who is restructuring next? We have the details. Football at 4 is on the way. And why was Cameron Johnson not tendered as a restricted free agent and what that means? And I will ask Adam Kaplan what NFL teams view Kyle Pitts at. How do they view Kyle Pitts at the next level? He has in-depth scouting reports from coaches and offensive coordinators. So for all of you people out there that say, Pitts, I don't know what to think about, Adam Kaplan has the information coming up next here on the Sports Bash.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action. The Flyers are in Pittsburgh to face the Penguins tomorrow. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
March is National Nutrition Month, an annual campaign created by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics to help us learn more about making informed food choices and developing healthy eating habits. This year's theme is Personalize Your Plate. There's no one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition and health. We are all unique with different bodies, goals, backgrounds, and tastes. One of the easiest steps we can take right now, add some color to our plates. Studies show that only 1 in 10 U.S. adults get enough daily fruits and vegetables. Try this. Make half your plate fruits and vegetables and fill the other half with lean proteins and grains. The goal is 2 cups of fruit and 2.5 cups of vegetables daily. Personalize your plate and you'll be on your way to eating healthier. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
Order! Continue, Ms. Garner.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day.
Objection! My credit card doesn't earn double miles on every purchase.
I object to your objection. With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase.
Order! Please read Counselor's last statement.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase.
I'll allow it.
No further questions, Your Honor. Well, just one. What's in your wallet?
Capital One Bank USA N.A.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise.
Hey guys, are you afraid of taking off your shirt in public? Don't be embarrassed. Just say, I love Lyle back instead with male breast reduction. Many men develop a fullness in their chest as boys that persists and even worsens as they get older. This condition is called gynecomastia, and with simple liposuction, most cases can be effectively treated. Call 856-MAKEOVER today to schedule your private consultation with Dr. Lyle M. Back. That's 856-MAKEOVER, or visit ILoveLyleBack.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Sure thing. We can help you replace those wipers. If yours are squeaking or streaking, it's probably time. We've got a wide selection of wipers that can stand up to any weather, including the right ones for your make and model. We've even got more ways to get them fast, like our next day delivery or free same-day store pickup. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers built for business and powered by Intel Core processors. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Again, 877-ASK-DELL. Here's the good news. Even with high unemployment, there's still a need for hundreds of thousands of cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. right now. And My Computer Career is training people to help meet the demand. No IT experience? No problem. Take the free career evaluation today at mycomputercareer.edu. Start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Grants covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu. Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers built for business and powered by Intel Core processors. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Again, 877-ASK-DELL.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Kaplan.
I have real confidence that our football operations can once again create a dominant football team.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. It's Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and brought to you by Dr. Lyle M. Back for everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery. Go to iloveLyleBack.com. Call 856-MAKEOVER. Dr. Lyle M. Back. So if you're watching the show live with the video, Adam Kaplan is holding up his NWO New World Order.
You like that, Mike, huh? You like that?
That is a priceless way to enter this happy hour Friday.
Like
How are you? I do.
Good to talk to you. Yes. So where I got that, okay, this is an interesting story. So you might remember Dr. William Myers, the guy, the foremost authority on the sports hernia surgery, which Doc calls it the sports muscle core surgery, okay? A lot of NFL and NBA and a lot of players and professional athletes have had this surgery. So he has a charity event every year, and I've been to it a couple times. And I'm someone who does not collect autographs. I have no interest in it. I always look for something different. So I found this, being that I liked professional wrestling. The last time I watched it was with the aforementioned NWO. I saw this with Kevin Nash and Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall's signature. I'm like, I got to have this. I want this. They're like, why? I'm like, because this is nostalgia to me. This is my youth, man. I want this. So I got that, and I have it. And it's funny when you ask me, do you want any theme music to your segment this year? And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And I mentioned the Hulk Hogan music, but a real American is, the WWE. But I like the one from WCW, who I happen to work for in the early 90s and mid 90s. So let's go get it.
All right, there you go. So he picked the theme song, as you now know, the NWO theme song, which is
That's
like
what
some
it is. Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix riff there. But let's get into it. We have a lot. Last week on the show during Football at 4, you predicted that Kelsey would likely return. Today on Instagram, he made the announcement that he will, in fact, come back. But not only is he coming back, he gets a new deal, $9 million guaranteed, could be up to $12 million. So why the new deal and what makes him come back? Let's get a little bit of details and some background on what the Eagles and Kelsey came together and did here.
Yeah, all right, Mike. So last week when I was on your segment, I couldn't obviously reveal everything, but I tried to give a strong hint that you might remember I said it wouldn't surprise me if we heard something about this real soon. And the real soon was he was coming back. So what happened? How did this happen? When did they know he's going to come back? So about 3 weeks ago, I'd heard that he was leaning towards coming back, and he felt really good after the season. And he did an interview with Dave Spadaro from the Eagles website. And if you read that interview, Spadaro must have talked to him as soon as he signed the contract today. Because Jason made it very clear he felt good, and he's not ruling out coming back next year, which, to be honest with you, Mike, based on my reporting on this, if he decides to come back after the season, the structure is such as that they would have to redo it again. It's too rich. Like you can't come back on the deal as structured next year. So that's why I'm calling it a 1-year deal. That essentially a 1-year deal. It'll be redone after this year if he wants to come back. And both sides, to answer your question, they wanted to do a deal here. As I said, Jason wanted to come back, and the Eagles wanted him back. They definitely wanted him back. He was a Pro Bowler. We could argue whether he should have been or not, but he was. And he's still one of the best centers of the National Football League. It's not a great position in general when you talk to NFL teams. It's one of the hardest to find talent. Even at 33 years old, he turns 34 in November. He's still one of the top 5 centers of the National Football League, probably top 5 to top 7. And they wanted him back. He wanted to be back, and they're going to bring him back. And you look at their offensive line, they got 3 guys over 30.
Yes, and I've said many times on this show, and I said it again today, with Kelsey back, you now have the potential of having a very good offensive line if they can stay healthy. That's a big if. You have Lane Johnson, who's had some ankle problems. You have Brandon Brooks, who's had multiple Achilles injuries. You have Kelsey, who battled through an injury last year, and he has played all 16 games 6 years in a row. So you almost wonder, when's it his time to go down? Sayamala missed time last year, and, of course, Dillard. So every guy on that line has some sort of injury history. But if they're together, how good's that line?
I think this is just now. I'm going to answer it the way you asked it. If they all stay healthy, when I say healthy, there's like next to no chance that whether it's Mailata should be the left tackle, by the way, not Dillard. Dillard, I don't see Dillard beating him out, but they're not going to hand the job to Mailata right now. But my sense is that it's going to be Mailata. That's the heavy favorite. He's fine. The back is not an issue at all. There was never he never had surgery. No structural damage. He's good. But if you look at Kelsey, Brooks, and Johnson, the odds are against it they'll play all 16 games. And you mentioned Kelsey, who, by the way, he had a significant elbow sprain. It was kind of surprising that he was able to play like he did. And Brandon Brooks now coming off another torn Achilles. And Lane Johnson coming off, as he said, a shattered ankle that had to be rebuilt. But look, if they play all 16 games or 14 out of 16, this is a top 5 line easily. Because Malo, by the way, really good left guard, not a Pro Bowler, step below. And Mailata, against the hardest competition, Baltimore and Pittsburgh and others, was shockingly really good because he just did not play a lot of football in his life. Mm-hmm. So the upside is top 5 to me easily.
Right. And if you have a top 5 offensive line, what does that mean for your entire offense? I guess is a question that we can kind of broach is if you have that offensive line back, how significant is that to the ceiling of where your offense can be?
I know we're not really going to do a lot of draft stuff until probably April, but what I would tell you is they're going to draft a receiver, whether it's the first round, second round, or third round. They're going to add a significant piece, I think, at receiver. It could be third round. Who knows? They're still going to do that because Rager is going to start he's probably going to be their Z. Whether it's Fulgham or somebody else, they're going to add somebody at that X position. I'm not saying Fulgham won't be the starter, but he needs to have some competition. But boy, did he look good for that stretch. they're going to have to fortify that receiver position, but with better protection. And Miles Sanders, obviously healthier. He had the grade 2 hamstring strain, and he had a couple nagging injuries. He needs to be better, no question. He was not quite as good as he should have been, but there were some reasons for it. The play calling was mostly atrocious last season. Needs to be better. With a healthy Dallas Goedert, by the way, the upside for this offense is really, really good, Mike. But there's so many ifs. There's so many ifs with this football team.
Right. So with that, I know we have some other restructuring things I want to get into with you in just a second here, but you just mentioned the offense, so let's stay there. Kyle Pitts' name continues to come up. Now, people are saying, a tight end at number 6? Are you kidding me? Now, number one, many people, and you're going to hear this a lot, Adam, he's more than just a tight end, that he's not really a tight end, that he can play X, he can play slot, he can play outside, he can play inside. A lot of mock drafts now have him going to the Eagles at number 6. Todd Mcshay today, the Athletics the other day. So this is now becoming something that it's a buzz. So is Kyle Pitts legitimately in play at number 6?
Well, Mike, he's going to be a top 10 pick. And would he be in play? From a grading standpoint, yes. Every team in the National Football League is probably going to have him as when they look at their grades, a top 10 player. But we know the Eagles' needs are not tight end. Now, let me explain to you what an NFL offense coordinator told me. And I put this on our show about, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago on Inside the Birds, one of our, whether it's our Monday show or Thursday show. The coach called him an OW, which is offensive weapon. He goes, he's not a tight end. He's an X receiver, which is a single side receiver. The guy typically doesn't move very much. Whereas the Z, which is really to me what Rager's position will be moving across the formation. If you put Pitts with Rager, with Fulgham, with Sanders, with Goddard, my God, the options in the pass game are show me a better team in terms of pass targets. No, I get that they're not developed yet. Totally fair. Because I know it's common, because anytime I say something on Twitter that's positive about the Eagles, I get 20 people coming at me. Like, it's just, in social media, you can never win. It's like people got a problem with you no matter what you say. But fact of the matter is, just on talent, if they added Pitts, it would be incredible. But is another offensive weapon needed? Yes, at wide receiver particularly. But they have major needs at corner. They have their biggest need in the football team is probably corner. Yeah. I don't count linebacker as a need because it's they need 10 linebackers, Mike, not 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an outlier. That's one we've known forever. That's not even worth discussing. We all know that. I'm talking about real needs. They'll never value a linebacker. That's just the way it is. But real needs, corner is a major need. Darius Slay, who restructured, he's in his 30s now. They don't have a starter on the outside opposite him. They don't have a top backup outside corner. They don't have a fourth corner on the outside. So that to me is a major need. They also need safeties.
Big time.
Okay. They need safeties. They need 10 linebackers. I'm joking. They need probably 3 linebackers. Okay. They need defensive ends. They need 2 defensive tackles. They need developmental offensive linemen. They need a number 2 running back. I mean, I go on and on and on here, Mike. This team still has significant needs.
Right. And now you said that an offensive coordinator or a coach in the league or a scout, was it? I don't remember. Coordinator. Describe Pitts as a, quote, offensive weapon.
Yep.
Not a tight end, more like an X receiver. So, and I look at, like, if you have him and Goddard together, I mean, that is almost like a Gronk and Aaron Hernandez type of situation.
Yes, and it's funny. Moshe and I talked about this in 2018 when Goddard was drafted. It was the first year we did Inside the Birds, and we both had said, like, it couldn't. Obviously, it's before Hernandez had his issues off the field. Well, at least before we know about him. Yes, Hernandez was a move tight end. He was He was what you call an F tight end. In the Patriots offense, the offset tight end is the F, and the inline tight end is the Y. But in this case of Gronk, he still would be moved around. When they were together for the short period of time, they were almost unstoppable. And that's what Goddard and Pitts could be. I don't know. Goddard, and by the way, our friend Greco from NFL Films told me, much better athlete than Ertz. When Ertz was younger, you go back 3 years ago in Goddard's first year, Goddard's still a better athlete. So you put Goddard, who's one of the better all-around young tight ends in the National Football League. It's just all about health with him. It's not about talent. They could be special, but again, Mike, you got to address the draft is always about best player available at the position of need. That's just the way it is.
Well, and you say best player available and at position of need, they need them all. So, I mean, Daniel Jeremiah, a guy that, is well respected. He has Pitts as, I think, his number 2 player in the entire draft.
Hey, he's special, Mike.
Crazy.
I've covered this business 21 years. In terms of the tight end position, again, I'm going to call him a tight end / receiver, whatever you want to call him, an offensive weapon.
Yep.
Never been but he's a tight end by trade. Most explosive tight end that I've heard from talking to people in 21 years. I have not heard the
right. People are saying to me like, "Oh, I heard this about Evan Ingram and Hopkinson."
Oh, he's way. Oh, by the way, well, Hawkinson's not as explosive. Ingram could run in a straight line, but this kid, and by the way, he's from Abington, PA, that area where I grew up in Cheltenham. That was this is a Philadelphia area, suburbs born guy, and he's long, over 6'6". And here's one thing, I'll give you a nugget. Teams tell me when they've gotten, the coaches have done the tape already. Really a willing blocker, much better blocker than you think. He just rarely was asked to play in line. And he's a high character kid, by the way, from the early studies. We're still 2 months away from the draft. The early information I have is he's a really great kid.
All right. So keep your eyes on that. A lot of conversation about Kyle Pitts the last week or so. Darius Slay restructured today. He just got the new contract last year, so they approach him and he restructures. How does that help?
Yeah, I was expecting this because despite there were some really bad rumors. I don't know. I understand when there's nothing going on, people start speculating that maybe he might be traded or cut. Was such absolute nonsense. There was no way he would be traded, no way he'd be cut, for 2 reasons. A, they're so bad at the cornerback position they couldn't afford to trade him. B, by contract structure they can't cut him. So it was just all nonsense. Or they couldn't trade him, or there was just no way they can do it by salary cap. So, so what they're going to do is he's signed through 2023. But what will happen is there'll be dummy years attached to the end of this, whether it's 2 or 3 years. I haven't got the breakdown yet. I got the breakdown on some other stuff, but what this guarantees you is he'll definitely be with the team in 22. Because there was no guaranteed money in 22, but because of the restructure, the signing bonus, the proration, because they're converting base salary to signing bonus, the proration is even higher, and the dead cap would be even higher. His cap number, by the way, right before this restructure was 19.75 million. Okay, it's just unless they significantly lower his 22 salary, it's going to be above 20 million. His cap number. He's not going anywhere. So to answer your question, it raises his cap number more than likely for 22, and he's going to have to be here a couple more years. When you create these contracts, you create dead money if these guys leave. So he's going to be here for a bit.
All right, 2 other guys I guess would be next. Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham. Do we anticipate them getting a call from Howie Roseman?
Yeah, and our friend Derek Gunn put that out there. Yes, I do. Mosher is writing a story. I'll give you a little bit of a nugget. Mosher's writing a story on this. It's pretty interesting. We have some really good details, cap stuff, which not readily found out there. And look, Lane's contract is really interesting. The way that it's structured, he's actually technically his contract goes through 2028 because those are dummy years. 26, 27, 28 are dummy years. That means that there's no salary on it, but there's signing bonus proration on it. This is going to kick the can really far down the road, and this is what Howie Roseman's doing. There's like 4 or 5 veterans that they're probably going to stick with for a while if they still want to play, and the rest of the team's going to be pretty young. And I get why they're doing this, but God forbid that these guys retire early. This is going to be bad for their salary cap.
Yes, and I think a lot of the problems that they got into this was because they kind of kicked the can down the road to keep that core together because they were trying to keep the window open to win that Super Bowl after they won the one Super Bowl. Right?
Yeah. Oh, right. One thing I do want to add, though. The Eagles and other teams that are doing this are banking on the cap to go up significantly. Mike Mayock, the Raiders GM, had a pretty good nugget. His understanding was, had we not had the pandemic, it was going to be somewhere between 220 and 225 million this season. Potentially with the TV, the TV money.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get the TV money, but it's not going to be anywhere near that because of the pandemic. It's not going to go up 40 million. My sense was from an NFLPA source, if we had a normal year, it would be somewhere around $210 million. Well, guess what? That's at least $30 million above the projected cap this season. So to your point, Mike, this is why we're seeing the Saints cut players they didn't want to cut. Now, we're not seeing very many players teams cared a lot about or didn't want to cut. Most players that have been cut so far, teams just didn't want back, despite what all the conjecture.
Yeah.
Next week is the key, though.
Yeah,
There are going to be some players cut that you're surprised.
And look, I don't want to like Roseman is getting hammered because, well, yeah, he mismanaged the cap. Nobody managed to put you in a pandemic that lowered this. So I'm imagining he knew that he was going to be a little over the cap, but not 40 plus million over. The pandemic probably doubled where you thought you would be cap wise.
Plus, you add the $33.8 million of dead money from the trade with Carson Wentz. It's they got a lot of work to do. I'm fascinated to see over the next 10 days what they're going to do. Not only with restructures, will there be any trades? Will Zach Ertz be traded? Will any of the other veterans be traded? There's not a lot left. They get restructured. I mean, they're just go. This is what they do. I mean, I know for a fact, talking to agents, some agents over the years turned down through the players turned down their restructures. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens here.
Yesterday, punter Cam Johnston not tendered. He was restricted. They could have tendered him and brought him back $660,000. He's now a free agent. How does that help?
Yeah. So by the way, he's not released. They actually could go to him before free agency starts and say, "Hey, listen, we're not going to pay you your restricted number. We're going to come back with this offer. Would you be interested in staying for it?" And if he says no, then he walks and he punts somewhere else. Now, Thomas Morstead, the great punter from the Saints, is out there. There are going to be some. We don't talk about special teams like ever, but there are going to be some good punters out there. They're actually unrestricted free agents. He'll be free to sign anywhere. When you don't tender him, that means once March 17th at 4 p.m. Eastern comes, you're free to sign anywhere else. But right now, they have exclusive negotiation rights until March 15th. That's when you could talk to other players from other teams through their agents.
Adam Kaplan, the Inside the Birds podcast will drop on Monday at 6 a.m. It drops on Mondays and Thursdays at 6. Check out the new Q&A show as well with Quentin Michael and Jason Avant. Now, I told my Jason Avant story. You were there in the food court in Minnesota. So Avant was supposed to come on the show with me, and he didn't have a pass, so they wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't let him into the food court. So I had never met Avant before, and he's calling my cell phone, and I'm like, hello? He's like, yeah, this is Jason Avant. Can you help me get in? I'm thinking, can I help you get in? Like, what do you get in here? So I walk over to wherever in the food court, and they would not let him in. He had to go get a day pass.
Day pass, yeah. For the first couple of years, I went to the Super Bowl back in 2001 and 2000. I was not regularly credentialed, so you would have to wait in line. They streamlined the thing where it only takes like 10 minutes, but I had to wait like an hour and a half one year to get a.
That food court was bonkers. I mean,
oh my God,
it was nuts.
Well, you could see it on the 973 ESPN page. The picture you put up is you and I in that food court.
Yeah.
Radio Row was a food court. You could not walk. It literally was like a 5x10. It was like it was like the octagon, right?
Yep.
It's like an MMA ring, and you could not move. And the only good thing was I could eat well that week. That was the only good part about it.
And the place was great. It was just so small in there.
Small. I don't know what the league was thinking. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, Adam Kaplan, check out Inside the Birds podcast Monday morning. The Q&A show is Wednesdays, and they are Mondays and Thursdays with the latest on the Eagles offseason free agency, more on the draft, and, of course, the draft at number 6. Everybody is very intrigued by so many interesting prospects, and as you chronicled, so many areas of need, which put so many prospects actually in play. Adam, take care, pal.
You got it, thanks.
All right, Adam Kaplan, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline, and of course, there you go. Very good edition of Football at 4 with the latest. He told you what a offensive coordinator in the NFL told him about Kyle Pitts. He's not a tight end. He said he's an offensive weapon. He classified him as an OW, offensive weapon. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app, and Football at 4. It is brought to you by Dr. Lyle M. Back. For everything from skincare to cosmetic surgery, go to iloveLyleBack.com or call 856-MAKEOVER for Dr. Lyle M. Back, proud sponsor of Football at 4. All right, we are wide open the rest of the hour. So with that, I will open up the text board, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. Send me your texts. And, of course, over on the video stream, if you're watching, put your comments in on the stream, and we will continue to have our conversations. I know that a lot of people don't want to hear or don't want to take a tight end at number 6. You just heard what Adam Kaplan said about Kyle Pitts. He's more than a tight end. He's an OW, almost like an OG. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And watch the show live on our website. Go to 97.3ESPN.com.
Turn it on. Leave it on. The Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Broadly's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning makes it easy to upgrade to the most energy-efficient equipment. And for a limited time, Broadly's is giving you a free furnace with the purchase of a high-efficiency AC system. 0% financing and rebates from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities and its clean energy program mean even greater savings. Don't miss out on Broadly's free furnace frenzy. Certain restrictions apply. Call Broadly's at 609-390-3907 or visit broadleys.net, your trusted source for 3 generations.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. Whether you want to learn Spanish for future travel plans, French to connect with extended family, or maybe German to land a new job, Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you'll actually use. All you need is 15 minutes a day, and you'll be on your way to confidently speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel is designed by real language experts using a modern, conversation-based technique that makes learning fun, engaging, and best of all, memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then sentences gradually get more complex. Soon you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. And with 14 languages to choose from and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll be sure to learn what matters most to you. Babbel, language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
It's time for some straight talk. Tax returns could look a little different this year. So when the big carriers start trying to get you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk Wireless, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get our unlimited plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense. Tune into Straight Talk Wireless. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Savings may vary. See straighttalk.com.
Hey, sports bettors, it's Mike Gill, and I wanted to share with you how I've been cashing in on the PropSwap sports bets resale app. On average, sellers on PropSwap have been making $500 a month. It's easy. Just post all your betting tickets for sale on PropSwap and let them find you a buyer. Listing your ticket is always free, and if it sells, great. But if not, the bet is still yours to keep. If you're not selling sports bets on PropSwap, you're missing out on incredible side hustle. Start making extra money today by downloading the PropSwap app and selling your sports bets.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Life is about balance, and the New Jersey Lottery encourages everyone to dream big. However, the lottery should not be considered or played as an alternative source of income, and you should always know your limits. For more on responsible gaming, visit njlottery.com. Dream big, play responsibly.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
Are you listening?
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, 428 on a Friday. Happy Hour Friday. Pete Thompson joins me in the 5 o'clock hour tonight. We'll have a little fun with the PT. I got a couple of rando questions for the PT tonight, as we typically will do in the Happy Hour Friday shows. So the Eagles restructuring the contract of Jason Kelce today. And Darius Slay. I would imagine Lane Johnson will also be in on that as well. So somebody texted in, and this is just somebody who obviously does not like a certain person and doesn't do research and just doesn't like a person. I am not a big Howie Roseman fan. I just don't think he's as bad as everybody makes him out to be. Mike, can you admit he has mismanaged the cap since 2017? He insists on trying to be the clever guy. He's not. It's catching up. Proof. This Eagles team. Look, part of this is this, and he wrote pandemic. Every team is in the same circumstance. They don't all have cap problems. You just answered your own question, but you don't want to admit that. One team won the Super Bowl in 2017. It was the Eagles. So since 2017, when they had that core group of guys, absolutely, they tried to kick the can down the road with that core group of guys. The reason that other teams were not in this predicament is because they didn't win the Super Bowl with that core group of guys. So Roseman should try to preserve that group of guys, kept kicking the can down the road. That is catching up to them now. But if you can hate Roseman all you want and call me a Roseman lover, which I'm not. I'm just the guy who's real. I'm the guy who's the realist. The cap got messed up by one guy. It was Carson Wentz. They don't have the cap problems that they have if they don't have a Wentz problem. They're not in the same cap predicament that they're in currently with the $30 million dead cap that they have from a player who's not on their team anymore. And as you just heard what Adam Kaplan said, and obviously you don't want to believe or listen to what Adam said, so you don't like Roseman. I get it. A lot of people don't like Roseman. To be the person that has to be the defender of Roseman sometimes, I get it. It's not the popular side. I'm not here to be popular or unpopular. I understand that 50% of the people are going to like what I have to say, and 50% of the people are not going to like what I have to say. I'm not taking a side. I'm just giving you the facts. You could do what you want with the facts. The Eagles would not have been in this cap situation had the cap dropped so drastically because of the pandemic. Yes, they would be over the cap. But part of the reason they're over the cap is because they signed the veteran players that were on that Super Bowl team. And the reason they did that is because they won the Super Bowl and thought they had a window to do it again. And by the way, they weren't the only people that thought they had that window. Many people did, yourself probably included. So you cannot like Roseman all you want, but you can at least say, you know what? I thought they had a chance to win the Super Bowl. So they made moves that they probably wouldn't have made, like giving Brandon Graham a new deal, like giving Lane Johnson another deal, like extending the players who were on that particular team and giving them these quote unquote kick the can down the road. So what they did was they kicked the money down in 17 to this year. Well, it's not that big of a deal that they now have to go back to those guys. We talked about this at length with Jeff Mosher on Wednesday. That I just go to you and say, hey, can I just move the money further down the road? Yeah, this is a tactic that they've been using since before Roseman. This is from the Joe Banner days. And if you listen to Joe Banner on the Inside the Birds podcast, he kind of explains about how they do this. And Andrew Brandt's been on our show. He's talked about it. The Eagles and the Saints, the two teams that have the worst cap situation, they are in this predicament because they do this a lot. They also get out of it a lot. So, yeah, they have cap problems right now, but it's not that big of a deal. The problem is nobody envisioned the dead money hit that your starting quarterback has left you. That's the problem. So let's not say this guy messed up or that guy messed up. The guy who messed up was the fact that your quarterback couldn't play. Now, you want to blame, I don't know who you want to blame about that. I don't know who gets the blame for the fact that the quarterback can't play or didn't play to the level that you thought. So, yeah, they have cap problems right now, but it's not because it's been mismanaged or that he's the clever guy. This has been the organizational philosophy since before Roseman has been here. Well documented. Joe Banner did this. This is what they have done. They have constantly been the franchise that kicks the cans down the road. And I will tell you this. You just text it in. The facts. Players hate Howie. Ask Long. Ask Jenkins. Quite the contrary. I'm not saying that all these guys like Howie Roseman. There are guys who don't like him. His job is not to be liked, by the way. It's not his job to be the guy who's liked. His job is to make the decisions that are probably going to make him unlikable. But I will tell you this. If Howie Roseman was so unliked as your text message suggests, why are these guys willing to restructure their deals to come back to a team to play for a guy they don't like, your words, and to come back to a team that most people think is going to stink? Why would I restructure my deal to help that team out? And I'll hang up and wait for your answer. Why would I restructure my deal if I don't like Howie Roseman? I'm Brandon Graham. Why, if I don't like him, why am I going to restructure my deal to help you out? You made this. You deal with it. If I'm Lane Johnson, why have I restructured my deal multiple times? Not once, not twice. I think this is going to be the third time that he would have restructured his deal to help this team out. Brandon Graham liked a tweet today. All right. The fact that Brandon Graham and Jason Kelsey are so willing to come back, doesn't that go a long way to disprove the notion that there is some dysfunction in this organization that has been way overstated by people like that text message? That was a tweet today from @TommyKelly44, and Brandon Graham liked it. So Brandon Graham is liking and acknowledging that the ridiculous dysfunction in the organization is overstated. He didn't have to like the tweet to prove it to me. He has reworked the deal. Darius Slay reworked the deal. They don't have to rework the deal. If I don't like you, Howie Roseman, I'm going to have you suffer. Right? That's the way it is. The facts, as this text message says, the players hate Howie. No, the actual facts are this. The players decided to help Howie. The text message says that's not a good a good GM. You know it all, though. You have the mic. No, I don't know it all. I'm the person who's neutral here. I don't like Howie or I don't hate Howie. All I'm telling you is the players are speaking the volumes, not me. If Howie Roseman calls the players and says, hey, I need you to restructure my deal, if I don't like him, I'd say, you know what? Screw you. You put yourself into this mess. Get yourself out of it. I'm not helping you. Right? 609-403-0973. Hey, that's not me. I'm just reading the tea leaves here. Brandon Graham likes the tweet that talks about the dysfunction in the organization and being well overstated. The GM of the team calls these veteran players. right? Hey, Lane Johnson, can you help me out for the third time? Lane Johnson to Howie Roseman. Sure, bud. I'll help you out. What do you need? I need you to kick the can down the road a little bit more. You're going to get the same. Yeah, Darius Slay, can you help me out? Sure. Hey, Brandon Graham, can you help me out? Sure. Hey, Jason Kelsey, can you help me out? Sure. Jason Kelsey told you all you needed to know about what he thought about Howie Roseman. In the speech that everybody loved from Jason Kelsey, and we can play it for you again if you want to hear it. In Jason Kelsey's speech, when they won the Super Bowl, and he had a couple of cocktails, right? He had a couple of cocktails. The Truth Serum. Who was the first person that Jason Kelsey thanked?
Howie Roseman, a few years ago, was relinquished of all control pretty much in this organization. He was put in the side, he was put in the side of the building where I didn't see him for over a year. 2 years ago, when they made a decision, he came out of there a different man. He came out of there with a purpose and a drive to make this possible. And I saw a different Howie Roseman.
He thanked him. He was the first person in the speech. He was the first person mentioned in the speech. It wasn't Doug Peterson. It wasn't Carson Wentz or Nick Foles or the rest of the offensive line that he plays with and goes to battle with. The first person that was mentioned in that conversation or that speech was Jason Kelsey. So again, I'm reading those tea leaves. You read the other tea leaves because you have an agenda. I don't care about Howie Roseman. I don't care whether he's the GM of this team or not, quite frankly. So all I'm telling you is these players were asked to help out a player that you're saying, a person that you're suggesting that the players hate. Now, do some players not like Howie? Sure. I'm telling you, all 53 don't hate the man, and all 53 don't like the man. And guess what? In every locker room in the NFL, it's the same way. All 53 don't like the coach, and all 53 don't hate the coach. It's just the way it is. The way it is everywhere. Nobody universally likes everybody. But I do know this, that the veterans on this team, the guys, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Darius Slay, guys that could easily tell the GM to go pound sand, they decided not to. They decided to say, I'm going to help you out. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Hey, Jason Kelsey, his speech, he had a chance to thank anybody who he wanted first. He had the mic, he had the Truth Serum. And the Truth Serum, it's like the movie Liar, Liar with Jim Carrey. And the truth shall set you free. His raw emotion was, I like this guy. He helped me win a Super Bowl, and I thank him for that. And you guys should try it. You'll feel a lot better about your lives. This hour brought to you by PropSwap, America's sports betting marketplace. Sell your sports bet, take your profit, find out how at PropSwap.com. Download the PropSwap app today. This is the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. We got a lot of people in the video chat. All right. Back with more. Sports Bash is live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And watch the show live on our website, 97.3ESPN.com.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action. The Flyers are in Pittsburgh to face the Penguins tomorrow. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank. here for you.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Trust Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Homeowners, no need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Call Jenkins. One call does it all. Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all, so you only have to call one number, 609-641-6262. Jenkins & Sons has been on the job since 1949 for new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, and drain cleaning services. One call does it all. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com. That's 609-641-6262 or jenkinsandsons.com.
Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you.
Hey, sports bettors, it's Mike Gill, and I wanted to share with you how I've been cashing in on the PropSwap sports bets resale app. On average, sellers on PropSwap have been making $500 a month. It's easy. Just post all your betting tickets for sale on PropSwap and let them find you a buyer. Listing your ticket is always free, and if it sells, great. But if not, the bet is still yours to keep. If you're not selling sports bets on PropSwap, you're missing out on incredible side hustle. Start making extra money today by downloading the PropSwap app and selling your sports bets.
Does learning a language feel like this?
No habla español? Hablo. It's hablo? Yes. It's hablo.
Bom dia, like good day, good morning, I think.
I can say, je m'appelle David, but that's probably it.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
This year is my year to get fluent in Spanish, and Babbel is definitely going to help me do that. The app is so easy to use, and it's so practical. It helps you learn things that you will actually need.
Since my husband is from Guatemala, I'll apply what I've learned in Babbel to our real-life situations.
I've tried other language learning apps, and nothing really stuck. Babbel's been a complete game changer for me.
Hoy es miércoles y el clima está muy bueno afuera.
Estoy con fome. Eu no tomé café de mañana.
Je suis des États-Unis et tu viens tu.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Get a refresh with your refund during Maaco's tax season event for expert paint and collision repair. Use our contactless services. It's as easy as book, quote, fix. Better get Maaco. Visit Maaco.com today to schedule your free estimate. Terms and conditions apply.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, Sports Bash is live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And if you're watching the show live at 97.3ESPN.com, we appreciate everybody in the chat. We got a ton of people in there. Chris Crawford, Howie is a top 10 GM in the league. He is good with contracts and trades and free agent signings. Just the draft process and scouting are very poor, but I know he isn't all to blame for that. I can't believe that someone has a logical view of the situation. Chris, you are the commenter of the day. Maybe the commenter of the year with that. There was another one that came up a little earlier that I wanted to get into. Some more comments coming in if you're watching the show live. Sammy is watching on YouTube. He says, I don't want to judge a man. I mean, I don't know what really goes on in the front office. I work night shift at a hospital in Seattle, so games start at 10. I just want to enjoy the Sunday ticket. I guess you're saying I don't want to judge what? Roseman? Well, you live in Seattle. You don't know what goes on here. It's crazy. Crazy stuff. Our own Billy Schwein from the locker room chimes in, says, wow, that hurt hearing that coming from Kelsey. You got me there. Well, if you did any research, you would have known that. I mean, come on. The first person that Kelsey brought up in the speech was Roseman. I mean, that was the most memorable thing of the whole thing. He went through it the whole team, but he started off by thanking Roseman. By the way, Lane Johnson did a podcast with Derek Gunn and had some interesting things to say. He said, and he quotes, the restructure is, quote, in the works, and I don't mind doing it. That's what it's all about. We've got guys that are willing to do that, whatever it takes, Lane Johnson says. This is Lane Johnson's like third restructure. So this is the third time that he goes down with the contract restructure. And he said, look, I don't mind doing it. It's for the team. So, look, the Eagles are in a spot with this cap that is not, but it's not conducive. Obviously, you don't want to do this all the time. A little bit of it happened because of the pandemic. They got put into a spot with the pandemic that put them a lot further over the cap than they would have planned on being, which is fine. I get it. They weren't going to be $40 million over the cap had the pandemic not come, but that's where they are, and they're figuring ways to get out of it, and they're approaching their veterans that will slowly get them out of this thing. I entered this offseason with not a lot of concern because Roseman has shown me in the past that he can get them out of this. They are getting cap relief for 2021 with Slay, with Kelsey. They know the cap will significantly increase next year when the new TV deal is added. So they're not going to stay. They're going to have 1 year. This year coming up, they are going to have the cap problems, and then it'll go back to normal, and then people will not remember that they had this problem.
I just want to bring up the fact you mentioned Lane Johnson's multiple restructures. Don't forget, one of the reasons why they did a restructure is part of the reason why Lane is so willing to work with Howie Roseman. Go back to 2016. When Lane Johnson was suspended for those 10 games, he lost $32 million of guaranteed money. So what the Eagles did was they restructured his deal to get him back that money, all through incentives. Howie Roseman did that for him. So the players know that Howie wasn't just stealing money. He wasn't just manipulating money. The Eagles went to Lane Johnson, Howie Roseman, and said, look, you lost money. We're not mad at you. We understand the suspension was something kind of out of your control. Let's try to make this work. So you have to remember the history of these players with the guy negotiating these contracts probably has a lot to do with why they're so willing to restructure.
Well, that wouldn't fit the fact that people think that he's the most hated guy.
Well, you know, people have this idea. I don't know where it comes from anyway. People keep saying that they keep texting you, Mike, the players hate him. I've never seen that report. I've never heard that anywhere.
I do want to say, and I said this about 10 minutes ago. Yeah, I'm sure there are guys that don't like him, but
where's the report?
53 men in a room. If 53 men like him, that is the most fascinating story in the history of football.
But where's that source?
Happen. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, there's 53 men in that room. Some of them don't like him. That's life. All right?
Right.
However many people are out there listening, there's a high percentage or 50%, 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, whatever it is. People like troll you on Twitter. They come after you on Twitter, acting like they are the one person that doesn't like you. Guess what? If you have any clue about doing this job, you go into it knowing 50% of the people are going to agree with what I have to say and 50% don't. So if you don't like what I had to say, that's not a shocking surprise. Right? I'm not like, oh my God, these people don't agree with me. So he has 53 guys in that room. There's going to be guys that don't like him. That comes with the job. So, yeah, there are guys that don't like Howie Roseman. It's not a mutiny that 53 guys despise this man and they don't want to play for him. No, restructuring is not a big deal. But you know what? The players don't have to do it. They could tell him, I don't like you. Go pound sand. Go ask another guy to restructure the deal. It's not that big of a deal. But you don't have to restructure if you don't want to.
Yeah, and that's what Kaplan was saying a little bit earlier, that he said, look, there's plenty of times where guys say, I'm not restructuring. I'm not doing this. Kaplan's been told that by NFL agents. So the fact that they're willing to restructure tells me that this narrative that Howie is the most evil villain in the Philadelphia Eagles organization is a bunch of bunk.
Look, listen, I'll go back to, I'm sure some people don't like him, that he rubs them the wrong way. Guess what? They're probably the guys who are, fringe players, or maybe guys who had their contracts kind of messed with. Then there's other guys who probably say, this guy did me very well. That's what happens in all walks of life. in all businesses. You probably work in wherever you work, and your boss probably likes one guy a little bit more than he likes you, or treats him a little differently than he treats you. And those two guys will probably get along. And you say, man, I can't stand my boss. And that guy says, you know what? That boss is pretty good. I don't mind him. That's called business. That's what happens. So, yeah, I agree. Some people don't like Howie Roseman. Many people don't like me. Some people do like me. You know how many times I hear, man, you do a great job. And you know how many times on the other side I hear, man, your show stinks. Guess what? I understand. Some people like it. Some people don't. Some people like Roseman. Some people don't. The fans don't like Roseman for other reasons.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
Non-football reasons.
They don't like him because of the way he talks, the way he looks, the way that he dresses, what his name is. If his name was Joe Douglas and he wore a polo shirt and was a little overweight, you probably say, he could do a better job. Instead, his name's Howie Roseman. He wears a suit. He's in good shape. You don't like the way he talks. So now he's not a football guy, so he's not very good at his job. That's what it comes down to. You know it, and I know it. The guy is constantly rated in the top 10, not by me, by people who cover the league. So either all of these publications are wrong, or maybe you just don't like the guy.
Right. Either every NFL insider on earth is an idiot, or maybe you just hate Howie Roseman.
Right. I mean, and let's be honest. The Eagles fans are a little irrational, which is great. It is one of the best things about what we do in our job is that we have people who are so over the top on one side and other people that they just don't like the guy. But many Eagles fans, I think we can all admit, are not rational. They don't step out of the box and take a deep breath and say, am I being irrational? No, you just be irrational.
I mean, fan is short for fanatic. So.
Tech sport. A lot of the times when players don't want to restructure is because they're being told to take a pay cut. Howie isn't asking these players to do that in these restructures. No, he's not. But these players can still tell him, I don't want to help you out. I don't like you. Figure out another way to do it. But no, they say, I want to help you out because you've done good by me in my past. So I want to help you out again. They could easily say, I know a restructure doesn't affect me, but I don't want to help you out. That's what I'm saying. I get the restructure doesn't do anything to the player, but what it does is it helps out the guy that people think the players hate.
Hello, South Jersey. This weekend in the locker room with Billy Schwein, as the 50th anniversary of the fight between Ali and Frazier approaches, Saturday we'll talk with Johan Sr. and Jr. of Johan Productions on the last 50 years promoting championship fights. Sunday we'll visit with Lauren Hart before she performs the anthem in front of fans for the first time in a year. Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, and more. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
Every player matters, and finding the right person can make all of the difference. After Dwight Howard chose Orlando over New Jersey, the Nets turned their sights to Portland and completed a trade for small forward Gerald Williams. The trade included sending Mamet Okor, Sean Williams, and a first-round pick to Portland. That first-round pick, the 6th overall, turned into Damian Lillard. Lillard went on to win the Rookie of the Year and is a 5-time NBA All-Star.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
As the basketball season rolls along, teams are already identifying the missing pieces they need to make a championship run. If your business needs some fresh new talent, LinkedIn Jobs can help. Post a job with targeted screening questions, and LinkedIn will quickly get your role in front of qualified candidates. Manage job posts and contact candidates from a single view as functions are streamlined onto one simple screen. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/sports. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're an athlete or live an active lifestyle, aches and pains can be part of the game. That's where Trifecta Therapeutics comes into play. Trifecta Therapeutics is a premier sports rehabilitation physical therapy center located centrally for anyone in South Jersey, right in Glassboro. Their team of the highest skilled docs takes a unique approach to physical therapy and rehab, whether you're a weekend warrior or a finely tuned athlete. They treat the pros and the Joes. To find out more about Trifecta Therapeutics and how they can help you, check out trifectatherapeutics.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
You're probably looking for some fuel treatment. It cleans your fuel system to help your engine run smoother, and that means better gas mileage. Right now, you can get 2 bottles of Lucas Complete Fuel Treatment for just $8, plus a $1 bonus reward if you're an AutoZone Rewards member. Not a member? Don't worry. We can sign you up fast right here or on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Cleanliness and safety are essential to the success of any business. That's why Cintas has introduced our Total Clean program, a one-of-a-kind service that includes scheduled deliveries of essential cleaning supplies, hygienically cleaned uniforms, and on-site sanitizer and disinfectant services to help eliminate germs. Learn what the Cintas Total Clean program can do for you.
Oh, I'm ready.
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Switch to T-Mobile for Business and get up to 90 days of service free via virtual rebate on your business plan. You get a great deal, the largest 5G network, and first-class benefits like Microsoft 365 on us. It's better for business and only with T-Mobile for Business. Limited time offer. Stop in-store for details. Plus taxes and fees for some plans. Virtual Express MasterCard within 8 weeks of receipt of valid submission. Complete port within 60 days. See T-Mobile.com for 5G devices, coverage, and plan details.
Right now, Allstate has almost as many ways to save as there are types of music. Save for being a new customer. Save for driving safely. Save for driving less with pay-per-mile insurance. Visit Allstate.com or contact your local agent to get a quote. Find out how much you can save today. Allstate. Now that should be music to your ears.
Not available in every state. Savings based on early signing, discount drive-bys, and mile wise. Savings vary based on how you buy. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Smoothbrook, Illinois.
Away from this take.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
The NBA and Keyshawn J. Will and Zubin.
You have to be the best of the best to be the face of the league. It just can't be because of what you bring off the court.
Get inside the biggest stories.
They're going to be very cautious with how they bring AD along and bring him back.
Plus, the insiders come here to tell you what to expect next.
There was some swelling. He's going to get an MRI today.
The NBA is on. Keyshawn J. Will and Zubin. Weekday mornings at 6 Eastern. On ESPN Radio and on ESPN News.
The radio home of the 76ers.
Oh, man, get excited.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ-HD, Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
It is a happy hour Friday here on the Sports Bash live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app. And, of course, you can watch the show live on our website, 97.3ESPN.com. Happy hour Friday. Pete Thompson set to join us here in just a second. Got some messages on the chat I want to get into. There's the PT. Peter, we'll get to you. We'll get your hot takes in just a second. We should call this segment PT Has Hot Takes, right?
You should call it PT as hot cakes, because then you can always play the sounder of me asking for hot cakes and sausage.
We'll get to that. All right. I do want to play a couple of, what do you got, like road construction going on back there?
Nah, listen, Josh ran into this once too. I have the world's loudest fan on my laptop. Okay, not to dime out my laptop, but like when you open up the cover, like a computer needs a fan, right, to stay cool. And this thing is, you can hear it again. It's so loud, you'd think that, oh my God, there's a jackhammer or something.
Yeah, it sounds like a car changing gears or something.
Yeah, well, I probably need to get like a Yeti mic. I mean, I do work in broadcasting, right? I probably should get like a Yeti mic. I need a chair that's not syncing. I mean, you can't see this right now, but from the time that you came to me, I've now gone down 2 inches, right? I can just feel this chair like slowly sinking down.
Wow.
Pretty soon I'm going to be sitting on the ground.
It literally sounds like you are like in the middle of road construction.
Well, yeah, because it's like the
jackhammer.
Yeah, and it'll stop at some point. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to when it goes off. The minute that I got this computer like 3-4 years ago and that fan went off, I thought something was wrong with it. But then somebody else explained to me, like, no, computers get hot. They need to cool off. It's just that this one happens to be a little louder than most.
I've never, ever heard such a thing.
Okay, well, I don't think you're an IT coder, right? I mean, you just jiggle the mouse and turn it on, right?
Yeah, I mean, all right, well, it's just so distractingly loud. Like,
I can't do anything about it. What do you want me to do? Stuff a sock underneath it or something like that? I mean, I don't even like. Okay, here we go. We got an earthquake going on in the PT world. I think the whole fan is underneath. Like, I mean, there's not much I could do.
All right, well, we'll try to get through it, I guess.
It'll go off. It just went off right there. Here, see.
All right, we have this nice conversation regarding Howie Roseman.
I've been listening.
Yeah, and you know, I know a lot of people don't like Roseman. I mean, it's an easy, lazy take. I don't like Roseman. But I want to ask you, why is it that you feel people don't like him?
Well, they you know, I get, like, I understand where the beer and a hoagie crowd is like, he's not a football guy. I understand that side of the argument because that's Philly fan that says water, right? And only drinks Yingling, right? Not even Yingling Light. Okay, right? I get that. I understand that.
Well, I say water.
Right, yeah, but you also are a little more well-rounded. You drink a bunch of IPAs and all those other things. My point is that Howie Roseman is unliked because it's the easy narrative to people that he's missed. Well, nobody hits 100%. Look, I get mad at Howie, and I've put that out before.
You're allowed to get mad. Everybody is. Like, you're allowed to say, I don't like this move or I don't like that move or they made a mistake here. Like, you're going to make mistakes. There's nobody who bats 1,000 in making personnel decisions. But I feel like, that the easy, lazy thing to do is just say, I don't like this guy. Well, why? Well, he does this, and this. And it's like, I mean, you do realize that guys make mistakes, like the GMs make mistakes in this league. There's like no perfect GM. And then I'll say, well, that every year Howie Roseman is in the GM rankings. He finishes in the top 10. Many times he is I've seen him at number 1. I've seen him at number 3. I've seen him at 5, but generally he's in the top 10. And much of that is because he is very shrewd at pulling off trades, working the salary cap. Now, some people will say, I don't like the way they have drafted. I would agree. The team has not drafted very well. There is some ambiguity into the draft room. Who is in charge on draft day? Who has made some of these picks? And I feel like everybody just thinks that he is the be-all, end-all on draft day. I don't think that's really accurate. But I will say, the first guy that Jason Kelce thanked in his drunken speech was Roseman. All of these veterans, Pete Thompson, they don't have to restructure their deal. And I know it doesn't do anything to them, but if they dislike this guy and didn't want to play for him and want it out, they could tell the guy to go pound sand. Lane Johnson, no problem. Brandon Graham, no problem. So I feel like there's a lot of misguidedness in this whole thing.
I would agree, but I would also say, too, like, Josh made a really good point. I was in the car running my girlfriend to work, and I heard him say that, especially in the case of Lane Johnson remembers that Howie did him right, like found a way to get him the money that he lost when Lane Johnson had to sit out. And that's not a lot of organizations would do that. Not a lot of people would do that. I mean, yeah, you're right. When Jason Kelce thanks Howie saying, like, this guy was banished to the other side of the building. I didn't see him for a year. He came back different. Now, did he come back different? Yeah, sure. And they went and won a Super Bowl. Did he come back a better talent evaluator? I don't know about that. And that's probably my one knock on Howie is I don't think he's the world's greatest talent evaluator. Well, you say we don't know what's going on in the room. It has come out, and the word has come out that it was Howie who pushed for Jalen Reagor. Howie pushed for that guy. That's come out.
There was also pushed that Laurie was kind of the one who wanted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah. Well, then the owner should not be making talent evaluations.
And by the way, I did not see that about Reagor. I had saw that Roseman was a fan of Jefferson, and it was the coaching staff that wanted Rager because they thought that he fit into their offense better.
Okay. Now, see, I saw it the other way. I could have sworn I read an article somewhere deep in one of these sites or the Athletic or somewhere that I read my stuff that 97.3 ESPN.com.
Here's the thing, PT. Yeah, even if you say, look, Roseman drafted Ortega-Whiteside and he pounded the table for him, and he pounded the table for Rieger, you're going to make mistakes, okay? You're going to get things wrong. But I feel like we prop up the mistakes so high on the pole, and we just negate that, hey, Jordan Mailata might be your left tackle for the next 10 years, and he drafted that guy in the 7th round. Dallas Goedert might be your tight end for the next 10 years, and you drafted that guy in the 2nd round. Zach Ertz was the greatest tight end in the history of your franchise, and he drafted that guy. Lane Johnson has been a rock at right tackle that was drafted by Howie Roseman. You had the best right guard in football on a trade that Roseman made to get Brandon Brooks here. He ripped off the Texans to get Brandon Brooks. So there are a lot of trades and draft picks. They might not be the highest of profile ones, and we only get mad when you miss the high profiles, but we don't like to say, hey, you found that guy in the 3rd round, or we got that guy in the 4th round. Now, the problem is this team is devoid of talent a little bit right now. Some of that is injury related. Some of that is because your quarterback was historically bad last year. I think after this season, we will get a much better idea of the foundation of this team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'll say this, too. I think that at the end of the day, we're Negadelphia, right? We're that negative attitude. We like to exploit the mistakes. We're quick to criticize and not as easy to praise, And yes, this guy was the executive in charge when they won the Super Bowl, the only Super Bowl in franchise history. Doesn't give him a lifetime pass, but you're right. If you're looking at the batting average, and obviously there's a reason that Jeffrey Lurie keeps him around, and it's probably for reasons like this. When you see that, guys are restructuring their contract, when you see that Jason Kelce says, yes, I'm going to come back, and they continue to do that, you're right. They're not doing that because they're, anti-Roseman or anti-organization. They're doing that because they feel that they've been treated right, both by the GM and the organization as a whole.
Right. Well, you just said something, too, that I think gets people a little ticked off as well. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, is Lurie was backed into a corner by Chip Kelly and got burned. And I think Lurie trusts Roseman so much, and that the last time he got pushed into a corner, he miscalculated that. And now he's saying, look, I've trusted this guy. He has stood by me, and we have won. This organization has won. Whether they've won enough for you, that's inconsequential. They are number 6 in all of the NFL in most wins over a 20-year span. So they have won. They might not have won the Super Bowl enough times for your liking.
Right.
But if you're the owner of that team, you are by far the most popular team in this town, in a fanatical city. You are the most well-traveled fan base. Why would I change anything? What do I need to?
I don't think you're putting enough on Howie's capology and Howie's mastery of numbers and restructuring and like the eagle way. That to me is the ultimate reason. People always make that joke like, well, Howie must have compromising pictures of Jeffrey Lurie or something like that. Why does he have this end-all be-all pass? Because as long as you make your boss money and as long as you make your boss happy, you're going to stay in that job. And all Howie has done, except for his, year in Siberia in the broom closet, all he has done is make Lurie more money and make the franchise more money and make everybody, that he's so good at finding creative ways to work around the cap. And people are trying to blame him for this one time that the cap is an issue. Well, you said who the guy is to blame. It's the guy that wore number 11. That's the guy. Now, yes, Howie did give him the deal, and it was a classic miscalculation on that part, and that one hurts. But they're doing everything they can. You're going to blame Howie Roseman for not seeing a pandemic? Who saw the pandemic coming?
Well, and look, people make mistakes. I mean, you don't bat 1,000. And look, getting the quarterback situation, I don't know a person out there. Now, there are some people, I knew he stunk. I told you all along. Okay, those people are few and far between. Nobody thought that Carson Wentz was going to fall to these depths. If that doesn't happen, you're not in the situation that you're currently in with a $30 million dead cap that is weighing down the rest of your financial situation. But when the cap goes back up next year, you're going to be back out of this situation. So they have 1 year, and I bet you Jeffrey Lurie, but you said something that really pops out is that this is a business. This business has been thriving since this ownership group took over. There was a time there where the Eagles brand was not very well received, with Rich Kotite and then into the Ray Rhodes era and the early Andy Reid era until Reid started to turn it back around. And that's when Lurie kind of got the team back with Ray, and then they start to kind of take off. But the fact of the matter is this, that Lurie is in a spot where this team doesn't need to rock the boat. They don't have to. They have only had one back-to-back losing season in Jeffrey Lurie's tenure. So the fans are fanatical. They want more. And Lurie's saying, you have a winning franchise. If he's owned the team 25 years, they've probably had a winning record, 20 of them.
Right.
So in his eyes, he's saying, we are successful. So why am I making a change? And here's another thing. People say, does he have pictures, compromising pictures, yada, yada, yada. No, but you know what happened? I sent him down the broom closet, and he didn't pout, and he didn't go away. He got better, and you know what happened when he came out? We won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get rid of that guy? So those are the compromising pictures. The Super Bowl trophy, that's the picture that he shows to Lurie. When Lurie thinks about, do I want to get rid of this guy? The compromising picture is the Lombardi trophy.
There you go. Just don't throw it off a boat and everybody will be fine. Yes.
Is that a Tom Brady reference?
Yeah, very much so. You saw what he did in that parade.
Yeah, I mean,
of course he was totally bombed.
He's having a little fun. What's wrong with that?
It's Happy Hour Friday. I'm trying to segue from bomb to happy hour.
All right, Sports Bash Live. So there you go. If the Eagles at pick number 6 took Kyle Pitts, who is classified by some as a tight end. Now, Adam Kaplan was on with us earlier, and he said, I talked to a offensive coordinator in the league who says he's not a tight end. He's an OW, an offensive weapon. So there's so much debate going on. We have people in this chat that are going crazy, people on the text board. If they took Kyle Pitts, who is classified as a tight end, but not really a tight end, would you be upset?
It's funny because when you were talking about Kyle Pitts, the first thing that jumped in my head was Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld, right? That's about the name to a lot of people. They would know Mr. Pitt from Seinfeld more than they know Kyle Pitts, right? Okay. But at the end of the day, when I listened to your interview with Adam Kaplan, I thought he had some excellent points. When's the last time? And you could even Zach Ertz in his best season, was he Travis Kelce? Was he Jimmy Graham? Was he Tony Gonzalez? Was he Antonio Gates in his best season? Did Zach ever get that national respect? And if they're describing this guy in that kind of category, like he is an impact-changing, game-changing kind of tight end, and you put him with Goddard, heck yeah, I'd be totally okay with that. And I was interested to hear that there's been other takes out there that say that Pitts is the best guy, better than Jamar Chase, better than some of these guys that are names that come up at receiver. Okay, if that's the case, if he's the most finished product and the most polished product out there, it's hard enough to game plan. There's a reason that the tight end position has had the resurgence in the last 8 to 10 years, right? And we've seen these franchise tight ends build up. It's because there's nobody on the other side that can cover them. Anybody that's fast enough with a run with them is too small, and they Gronk their way or Kelce their way, into more yardage after the catch or into the end zone, right? And then there's also the reason is or if you get a guy bigger, he's too slow, right? Okay, so yeah, you can tackle him, but you can't run with him. There's a reason, the greatest thing about the NFL is it's a game of adapting and changing, sometimes play to play, sometimes quarter to quarter, sometimes game to game, and definitely season to season. And if you look at the body of work at that tight end position, right, and the way that that's changed, I mean, there's got to be old guys out there that, the Mark Bavaros, the John Spagnolas of the world, they're like, what'd you run in a 40? run. I had a little puff on my cigarette before I went. I mean, the old school guys, ask these old tight ends like, Keith Jackson, who was a great tight end in the 1980s for the Eagles, right? Keith Jackson didn't have the dedication that and didn't have the verticals that these guys had, and yet he was a game. But they didn't plan for tight ends then.
That's a good point. Like Keith Jackson, who the Eagles took. Back then, you were like, I believe he was in the first round. You're like, you took a tight end like that. But Keith Jackson back then was a whole different breed of tight end for that era. And he was at a time one of the best tight ends in football. Now, Kyle Pitts, I mean, I said, look, when I entered this draft, I love the draft. And the fact that the Eagles have the 6th, like that's the one part about the team stinking is that you get a good draft pick, which means you can really get involved in the draft. And I love the draft. So, the last couple of years, the team has not drafted very high, so It's harder to kind of get involved in the draft when you're not in a mix of where there's going to be a lot of talent and you have a lot of holes. So I entered this mix saying, now I still think I would go with Patrick Surtain or Micah Parsons, one of those defensive players.
Sure.
If I take an offensive player, at first I would say Jamar Chase was my guy. I am starting to say that I like Pitts more than I like Chase, and I like Chase better than I like the other receivers. So to me, it might be Pitts, Chase, Smith, and that would be the way that I like. I after watching him a little bit more, man, he would be a nightmare. And I said this to Josh the other day. He watches a ton of college football. I like Pitts, the thought of having Pitts and Goddard more than I like just having Pitts.
Right. I would agree with that. And I would also say this, too. And by the way, Keith Jackson, first round, 13th pick overall.
Oklahoma.
In 1980. What is that, 6? I think my eyes are too bad. 88? What year was that? Jeezy peasy. 88.
I would say
1988. He came in 1988. But, yeah, I mean, that to me is the biggest thing is that, if you can get a guy that's an instant weapon and makes a matchup nightmare at a certain position, I don't know that any of the receivers instantly walk in and make the like that guy or any of the other guys a matchup nightmare. But when you compare, if you compare a guy like Pitts with a guy like Dallas Goedert, forget about it. Who do you cover? I mean, and that's sports 101. Put as much talent as you can on your side of the ball and make them make a decision on, all right, which guy do you think, who are you going to let beat you?
A lot of this hinges, too, on Rieger really being a real deal. Yep. And somebody else, whether it be Fulgham or J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who I think most fans are done with, myself included, Hightower, Quez Watkins, somebody else has to be. But I feel very intrigued by
and don't you think they're going to use a pick on a receiver? They may not use the 6th pick on a receiver, but don't you think of their picks, one of their picks is going to be a receiver?
Well, we can get into that coming up. Plus, I want to get your thoughts on last night's Flyers game.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. It's Happy Hour Friday. PT, going to hang around for another segment, and it's brought to you by Copiers Plus, quality products and services to South Jersey businesses since 1986. Services, their specialty, online at copiersplus.com. This is the Sports Bash. It's live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app, and, of course, you can watch today's show on our website, 97.3ESPN.com. And you can see the PT there, and its computer apparently has settled down a little bit.
Yeah, it could flare up at any time. It's like my stomach or like indigestion. Just beware.
All right, we're back. We'll get the thoughts on last night's Flyers game, the weekend that is. Plus, Phillies have an interesting conundrum in center field with the news today. We'll get into that as well. It's the Sports Bash. Don't go away.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action. The Flyers are in Pittsburgh to face the Penguins tomorrow. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN, and listen live on the free mobile app.
Home is where the heart is, and with a $138 million Powerball jackpot win, home could look a lot different than it does now. With all those millions, a Cape May mansion could be yours. So take a chance on Powerball. Anything can happen in Jersey.
Let's start with everyone out there who loves flexing in the mirror. Now, narrow it to all those muscle squeezers who hate stretching their wallet. Well, with my Walgreens, members earn an extra 5% in Walgreens cash rewards on Walgreens brand items. So head to Walgreens for great deals, or limp if you're like me and forgot to stretch while getting in the car. Ah, my calves.
Right now, stock up on everything from pain relievers to vitamins with select Walgreens brand health and wellness items. Buy one, get one 50% off. Offer valid through 4/24 with my Walgreens. See Walgreens.com for details.
Hi, I'm Brian Peterson at Made Anew Home Remodeling. The events of the past few months have been something most of us have never known. Let's reflect on some of the good things. Time spent with family, extra meals around the dinner table, playing games in the house, and quality time in our homes. If you need help transforming your space to create more beautiful memories, then reach out to me. Visit madeanewhomeremodeling.com.
To learn more about this and other featured businesses on the New Jersey Business Exchange, visit 973ESPN.com.
2 chocolate chip muffins coming in. Thank you.
Indeed knows unexpected growth can stretch your business thin.
Hey, can someone get that?
Like at Claire's Cafe. To satisfy demand for takeout, she needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. And the moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first sponsored job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, sports bettors, it's Mike Gill, and I wanted to share with you how I've been cashing in on the PropSwap Sports Bets resale app. On average, sellers on PropSwap have been making $500 a month. It's easy. Just post all your betting tickets for sale on PropSwap and let them find you a buyer. Listing your ticket is always free, and if it sells, great. But if not, the bet is still yours to keep. If you're not selling sports bets on PropSwap, you're missing out on incredible side hustle. Start making extra money today by downloading the PropSwap app and selling your sports bets.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
As a minimalist, paying less for insurance is more.
Nice place. Is your house a bubble?
It's a dome. I find corners unnecessary.
At Liberty Mutual, that's how we feel about overpaying for insurance.
But I do miss having shelves.
What would you put on them?
Nothing, obviously.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
So you think you have unlimited data?
Recalculating.
Think again. If you have unlimited data on a network you can't trust, your data is limited, and so are you. Set your smartphone free with the unlimited plans from Total Wireless. Get 4 lines with unlimited data on the nation's best network now with 5G, with 100 gigabytes at high speed, then 2G for just $25 a month per line.
You have arrived at your destination.
Get unlimited and save. Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at Best Buy. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
We know you're spending a lot of time at home, and maybe that home could use a little TLC. Since going to a home show isn't really a thing right now, 97.3 ESPN FM is bringing the home show to you. Local exhibitors have been setting up in a virtual show featuring the latest products and services for your home. Go to 973ESPN.com to find great articles on home improvement tips and trends. Thanks to our friends at Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, Broadleys.net, your trusted source for 3 generations. Brought to you by AutoZone. Free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes AutoZone America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
You can watch the Sports Bash live now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Search 97.3 ESPN or visit our website, 973ESPN.com.
All right, 5:26 on a Friday, happy hour Friday here on the Sports Bash. Mike and Pete. There he is, PT, on the live video stream if you're watching at 973ESPN.com. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter is where you can watch the show live. All right, Peter, so what was the Eagles conversation that we had before the break that we were going to pick up on the other side? Do you recall?
Yeah, have you met me? I'm sitting here staring at your zip up, and the first thing that pulled into my head was, I do like that quarter zip up. That's really nice. Anything we were talking about before, whoop, right out. This is why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, I remember you said something. I was like, all right, we'll bring that up on the other side, and then I kind of got distracted. You like the 3/4 zip?
Yeah, well, I like the fact that it's that maroon, that classic 1979.
What I did, I baby blue as well underneath.
You got a little powder blue on the two. What would you call these lapels? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, the collar. It's called a collar.
Yeah, collar. All right. Well, yeah, but I mean, all right, fine. Yeah, sure.
Right? Am I wrong with that?
No, I guess it's a collar. Sure. Yeah.
It's called a collar. It's a golf collar.
All right. Yeah. You play golf.
I'm not very good.
Me neither, but I like it.
You're better than I am.
I'm going to play a lot more this summer, I think.
That's nice. All right. So tell me about last night. You watching the Flyers game last night. I would like to.
By the way, before we get into that, I just got a text back from Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did you text him?
To get the text back, I texted him. One of my students had a Jeremy Roenick jersey on today, and I did the math in my head. And there's no way that this kid ever was alive when Jeremy Roenick played. I said, wow. I go, did you get that jersey from like your father? And he's like, no, I bought it. And I'm like, wow. I go, of all the jerseys you're going to buy, you buy JR? And he's like, yeah, man, I watch his stuff on YouTube all the time. I just really like the way that he played. So I was like, huh. So I grabbed my phone. I thought I'd impress this young man, and I show him Jeremy Roenick's number. Well, then just like AKA the Frank Vogel number, I send the text. Well, maybe not exactly like Frank Vogel, but I send the text, and I didn't hear anything back. And then I thought, you know what? Maybe I don't have JR's right number. Checked with a third party that I knew would have the number, and he said, no, this is his number now. Gave me the new number, texted him the picture of the kid in the jersey, and JR was touched. He thought that was very nice. He said, that's awesome. He said to me, please tell that young man it's so awesome, and thanks for representing. So there you go.
All right, there you go.
Jeremy Roenick.
Now, I asked you a specific question. You could
about hockey. Well, I mean, if we're going to talk hockey, I still had to tell you that Jeremy Roenick was texting me and how exciting that was. All right, ask me your question again.
All right, so a caller called in and said that you brought up that we were going to talk about drafting a wide receiver or Kyle Pitts with the Eagles' first pick. Which would you prefer?
Right, and I mean, my initial thing was I wanted Smith. I wanted the Heisman Trophy winner, but that was you know, it's like ice cream. None of the ice creams are bad, right? Except for maybe coffee ice cream for me. I don't really like coffee ice cream, but yeah, I mean, none of the flavors. Everybody loves the pick when you make it. Well, not maybe everybody, but I guess I look at it like this. Now that I've heard more about Pitts, and now that I've seen more about Pitts, I'm excited about the prospect of him becoming a Philadelphia Eagle. And not just because, you know, normally, think about the PT. Normally the PT would be like, oh, yeah, the guy went to a high school, he's from Abington, he went to the high school in the area, he's got the Philly connections, this would be great. Like, I'd be hammering that line. I don't have to hammer any of that. The guy is the best guy out there. One of the, like you called it, an ultimate weapon or a good weapon out there.
All right, so I want to get back into then. You last night watching the Flyers game and how that went.
Well,
I would like to have seen like this whole scenario of them down, because like I know that you could be one of them guys that might actually turn the game off if you're frustrated.
No. I never turn it off, but I definitely in this day and age I'll get drifting into other things, you know. So in the first period, and it happened so quickly, you know. In fact, there was even some confusion because JJ and Jonesy were not on site. They thought that they were going to pull Brian Elliott. They thought that they were pulling Moose, but really it was just a timeout. And boy, Alain Vigneault channeled the old Peter Laviolette movie. He pulled them all together. He had a little discussion with them, and I think it was a 1-2 punch, if you will, metaphorically speaking. But I think the timeout helped settle him down a little bit, and I think the captain said something in the room at the intermission and basically said, listen, boys, we're going to come back and we're going to win this effing game. You find that effing dog, right? He came back and he told them, you know, and he put the confidence in them, and they did. They climbed back little by little and found their way to get it done. And Claude Giroux was amazing. I mean, and there's a reason that people were gushing so much about Giroux. Post-COVID, Claude Giroux is playing like he's 5 years younger. You know, I mean, he's setting guys up. He's in the right place. He's making the right plays, you know, and he's scoring goals. And that's all you can ask for out of your captain. You know, he did a very captain-like thing last night. 2 goals and a primary assist, and just was all over the ice. And by the way, all over the ice at his old position. He was back playing center. last night. And when he was asked about that in typical Drew fashion, he just sort of nonchalant at that and said, like, oh, I'm with good guys. He talked about the guys that he was with more than what he did. But he looked pretty comfortable there at the center position.
So do we anticipate that will be a long-term thing or just a one-time shot deal?
Well, I mean, obviously they lost their hottest goal scorer when they took Joel Farabee out. And that's why hockey's such a crazy game, isn't it? 2 games ago, the narrative was that Sidney Crosby wasn't going to play and that, oh my gosh, the Penguins are losing their best guy. And I swear to you that I said this that day. I said, you watch, the Penguins will find a way to win the hockey game because they don't have Sidney Crosby in there. And they did. And then the Flyers go and lose Joel Farabee. So you had that mix of Crosby coming back, and Crosby came out with a lot of jump and did what he did and does. But then no Farabee in there, and the Flyers actually didn't miss much of a beat. Obviously, and they reshuffled. They put Ghost. They broke up Ghost and Proby and put that, shook up the lines a little bit on the defensive pairings too. Do I think that they'll continue to use Giroux in that role? Well, yeah, AV has a history of trying to keep guys in the same setup. If it works for one game, then they're going to keep him in there for another game. So, until Farabee comes back, why wouldn't they keep things mostly the same?
Now they're going to stick. Speaking of staying the same, they're going to stick with Elliott. Saturday, they're going to go with Hart on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, and that only speaks to the fact that Elliott's hot and he's playing well, and you've got back-to-back, so you're going to go one way or the other. I wouldn't have been surprised if they went Hart first and Elliott second. Either way, one was going to play one and one was going to play the other. I think to the eye test, the sniff test, the smell test, Brian Elliott's been the better goalie so far. But that doesn't mean that I'm ready to go, oh, God,
all right.
Hart's a problem.
Do you have concerns about, I was going to say, like, you don't think he's a problem? Like, there's some people I'm starting to see is, I'm starting to think that Carter Hart's might be, a problem.
Yeah, no, I don't see a lot. I have no problem pushing my chips in on Carter Hart. I think the guy is a franchise goalie. I think that you go through spurts and stretches where you're just a little bit off your mark. I think you're always affected. Look, the goaltender is your last line of defense, and you're always affected by who's in front of you and what mistakes they're making. Don't judge Carter Hart on a game 2 games ago where Shane Gostisbehere was -3 and Ivan Provorov was -4. Don't, just like you shouldn't have judged Elliott last night on this all-out assault that happened in the first period, and the Penguins looked like they were scoring from every angle everywhere. That to me was one of the things where I thought, whoa, I've never, like, Sean Couturier is very even keel, and when Coutsie turned around and just tomahawked his stick off the crossbar, destroying that thing, you were like, woo, something's going on here. Like, they are really hot, and that was a message that basically was saying, like, look, it is not just our defense, it is not just our goalie. We are all laying an egg right now in a game that we cannot afford to lay an egg in. Pick it up.
All right, I'll leave you with this because I don't remember, because you flip-flop so often that you could be on one side of the coin one day and you could hear somebody say something and be on the other side. So I don't really recall. I think you were kind of like an anti-process guy, like you weren't really on board with what the Sixers did. And then you may have shifted one way. Like, I don't know that you had like a strong one way or the other. But in your anti-process days, okay, could you now say it was worth it because I get to watch Joel Embiid play, whether they win a title or not in the Embiid era, the fact that you're having enough fun watching this guy for the next 5 to 10 years that you would say, you know what? It was worth losing for 2 years, for 2.5 years to now get to watch this guy play, even if they never win a championship.
I mean, remember when you and I worked together every day, 4 hours a day, you converted me. I had been a little anti-process when they were only winning 10 games a year. And of course, yeah, well, but Ben Simmons breaks his foot and Joel was slow to develop. And then the whole narrative that these guys aren't going to be able to play together. Boy, it's really funny how in the last week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you haven't heard any of that, have you? But that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons can't play together. Where did that talk go? Oh, that's right. Right to the top of the Eastern Conferences. They have a great record. And they're basically, and Joel is having an MVP season, an unbelievable season. Look, I look at it like this. He is playing otherworldly. He is playing special. And when you see some of the stats that come out, like, first guy to have 40 points and double-digit rebounds since Charles Barkley did it in this, first guy to do this, and the numbers that he puts up. Full disclosure, Mike Gill, the other night, the PT fell asleep somewhere between the third and the fourth quarter. So I wake up, I'm kind of half in, half out, and I trudge from downstairs to upstairs. And when I get upstairs, my phone alerts me and says the game's going to overtime. So I turn the TV back on upstairs, and I watch that overtime. And, of course, to lead off the overtime, they show all about the shot and what a great court presence Joel Embiid had to recognize that's the shot he needed at the time. And then the way that they played in overtime. And it's a treat. It's special to watch this guy. Was it worth it? Abso-frickin-lutely.
All right, and that's how we'll end today's Happy Hour Friday. All right, man. Well, do something about that computer.
Yes, I will. I have the solution right in my head. It's called a Yeti mic, Y-E-T-I, Yeti mic. I'm going to get one of those, and then you're not going to hear the construction or the buzzing.
All right. Pete Thompson, have a good weekend.
You too, buddy.
All right. He, like August, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. And coming up, we've got plenty more, including the 5 for the Friday, as we'll see what audio Josh liked today from today's show. There was a lot of good stuff, so I'm intrigued to see what he picked to kind of chew on in our final segment of the day. Happy Hour Friday here on the Sports Bash. It's brought to you by Jenkins for heating and air conditioning installation, service, and maintenance, plumbing or drain cleaning. Call 609-641-6440 or JenkinsPlumbingandHeating.com. I'm Mike Gill. Follow me on Twitter at Mike Gill Show. We're back with more Sports Bash. Wrapping it all up. Don't forget, coming up, John Morgan will talk about the UFC card tonight at 6:20 on game night.
Hello, South Jersey. This weekend in the locker room with Billy Schwein, as the 50th anniversary of the fight between Ali and Frazier approaches. Saturday, we'll talk with Joe Hand, Sr. and Jr. of Joe Hand Productions on the last 50 years promoting championship fights. Sunday, we'll visit with Lauren Hart before she performs the anthem in front of fans for the first time in a year. Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, and more. It's the locker room with Billy Schwein every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.
Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning makes it easy to upgrade to the most energy-efficient equipment. And for a limited time, Broadlee's is giving you a free furnace with the purchase of a high-efficiency AC system. 0% financing and rebates from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. And its clean energy program mean even greater savings. Don't miss out on Broadlee's free furnace frenzy. Certain restrictions apply. Call Broadlee's at 609-390-3907 or visit broadleys.net, your trusted source for 3 generations.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? You're probably looking for some fuel treatment. It cleans your fuel system to help your engine run smoother, and that means better gas mileage. Right now, you can get 2 bottles of Lucas Complete Fuel Treatment for just $8, plus a $1 bonus reward if you're an AutoZone Rewards member. Not a member? Don't worry. We can sign you up fast right here or on AutoZone.com. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. We want pretzel crust.
By popular demand, because you wanted it, Little Caesars, home of the large $6 ham-ready pretzel crust pizza, proudly announces
Pretzel crust is back. Pretzel crust is back.
right now and for a limited time, walk in and walk out with a large soft pretzel crust pizza featuring a creamy cheddar cheese sauce and tasty pepperoni, surrounded by a delicious salted soft pretzel crust for only $6 at Little Caesars.
Pizza. At participating locations plus tax. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Sign up now for this year's $1 Million Bracket Challenge. Registration is underway now at 973ESPN.com and the free mobile app until the tournament begins. The listener whose bracket has the most correct will win a $500 golden getaway in Atlantic City. Thanks to our friends at GoldenNuggetSports.com. And the top 20 listener brackets will receive a free bet at GoldenNuggetSports.com. So register for the $1 Million Bracket Challenge.
Hell yeah!
Now at 973ESPN.com or the free mobile app. Must be 21 plus to place a bet. Only available in New Jersey. Free bets are for online sportsbook only. Please see website for terms and conditions.
A national championship.
So head to 973ESPN.com or the free mobile app and register for the $1 Million Bracket.
You ready for competition? It's time for 5 questions.
3 in and just man 95.
Number 5 will always love you.
I got 5 on it. 5 times. Now can you dig?
All right, time for the 5 questions to get ready to wrap up this Friday show. And, of course, we'll bring Josh in now. Josh, of course, produces the show. He listens to all the interviews. And these are the audio clips that stood out to him the most today. So let's take a look down audio lane. Adam Kaplan during Football at 4 today. What did an NFL guy tell him about Kyle Pitts?
Let me explain to you what an NFL offense coordinator told me. And I put this on our show. The coach called him an OW, which is offensive weapon. He goes, he's not a tight end. He's an X receiver, which is a single side receiver. The guy typically doesn't move very much. Whereas the Z, which is really to me what Rager's position will be moving across the formation. If you put Pitts with Rager, with Fulgham, with Sanders, with Goddard, my God, the options in the pass game, show me a better team in terms of pass targets.
Sounds good to me. An OW.
First of all, I love the fact that he says at the beginning, let me tell you something. Like almost like he has to like he's like a teacher teaching a class there. And I think that I love what he said there. He said, listen, this is an offensive weapon. This is a guy who can do different things. And if you have all these guys together, that grouping on paper looks pretty good. I think people forget that, listen, when Fulgham was playing well, he was really darn good. When Goddard was healthy, he's really darn good. Rager had 3 really good games this past year. This Eagles team can be good, as you've mentioned, Mike. They just got to get that offensive line healthy.
Sure do. And I have been on record. If the offensive line's healthy, this team will probably make the playoffs. If the offensive line is like it was last year, you're probably going to struggle. All right, Adam Kaplan, Football at 4. How about that offense?
And they're going to have to fortify that receiver position, but with better protection. And Miles Sanders, obviously healthier. He had the great hamstring strain, and he had a couple nagging injuries. He needs to be better, no question. He was not quite as good as he should have been, but there were some reasons for it. The play calling was mostly atrocious last season. Needs to be better. With a healthy Dallas Goedert, by the way, the upside for this offense is really, really good, Mike.
All right. Well, I've been saying it for a while. The offensive line is in place. With that, your offense should be better. You've got Rieger, you've got Sanders, you've got Goddard. I don't know about the rest. Now, Rieger, I'm just assuming takes a little bit of a bump. He was hurt. I don't think he was used great. I think Sirianni, a wide receiver coach by trade, will do a better job. The interesting part will be if they add a piece with number 6. That could really help this offense take off.
And that gets back to the Kyle Pitts, the Jamar Chase discussion. It seems to me, Mike, more and more that this team is going to go offense with that pick, whether people like you and me like it or not. I feel like that just seems like the direction they're going to go in.
Jason Kelsey restructured his deal today. He is back. Why is he back?
Both sides to answer your question. They wanted to do a deal here. As I said, Jason wanted to come back, and the Eagles wanted him back. They definitely wanted him back. He was a Pro Bowler. We could argue whether he should have been or not, but he was. And he's still one of the best centers of the National Football League. It's not a great position in general when you talk to NFL teams. It's one of the hardest to find talent. Even at 33 years old, he turns 34 in November. He's still one of the top 5 centers of the National Football League.
I think getting Kelsey back was a huge, it's good to know that now, obviously, but it's huge because it puts them in position now to know we have a battle at left tackle. We've got Sayamala, Kelsey, Brooks, and Johnson back. They now go in thinking and knowing we have a strength.
And don't forget about the fact that Jason Kelsey is the kind of guy he's more than just the best center and one of the best centers in the league. He's the leader of this offense in so many ways. He helps the guys around him be better. He makes sure that the line calls are made. He's the one who works directly with the quarterbacks. He does so much for this team, and he is a stabilizing presence. And don't forget, he said, I'll restructure my deal. Well, you know what that means? That means that maybe, just maybe, Howie Roseman's not a bum.
Well, and, he talked about the fact that guys restructuring, is something that, and look, this is from Adam Kaplan. We'll throw this one in there as well. He said this about restructuring.
This is what they do, I know for a fact, talking to agents, some agents over the years turned down, through the players, turned down their restructures. So it's going to be fascinating to see what happens here.
So some agents turned down the restructures. And I don't know why you would or why you wouldn't. We had a big conversation on Wednesday with Mosher about what's the advantage or disadvantage of restructuring the deal, not restructuring your deal. Lane Johnson said today, he told Derek Gunn, it's about winning. And if this is going to help us get better because it's going to help us get under the cap, you do it. But that doesn't mean you always do it, because you might say, you guys screwed me, I'm not helping you out. It doesn't seem that animosity is here.
Yeah, so just remind people, all the restructure does is reshuffle what money is accountable to the cap based on guarantees. So, for example, you can give somebody a bonus. The bonus is not guaranteed money, even though you give it to them up front. So that counts against the cap a different way than, for example, if your base salary is a certain number versus what incentives are. So there's ways you can shuffle things around. The restructure is just a tool for NFL teams to try to get under the salary cap and work within the confines given to them. And as we mentioned earlier, Lane Johnson is a guy who he lost $32 million of guaranteed money because of the 10-game suspension in 2016. The Eagles found a way to redo his deal and get him his money back. And so for him, he looks at it as, hey, if you need me to do this, you took care of me, I'll take care of you.
People like Jason Kelsey, he's a guy that he could have retired. He didn't have to. He had a deal in place still for $5.5 million. Now he got a raise, so that was an easy one for him.
Yeah, it's nice when they say, oh, by the way, we'll give you some extra money up front to sign this. Okay, that's fine with me,
Yeah, all right. Paul Hudrick is our Sixers insider for Inside the Sixers. He said this.
Listen, when they played Brooklyn in that first round a couple of years ago, Tobias Harris was actually really good in that series, if you recall, in that first round. Now, he wasn't as good in that Toronto series. He was very up and down, but that was his first postseason run. Last year, he was bad. I mean, there's no other way to say it. He wasn't very good, but I don't think he was good at all last season, at least not to the level he has been this season. He's been monumentally better.
So are we at the point now where we are trusting Tobias Harris in the playoffs?
I think you have to, because look at what he's done already this year. He won them the game in overtime. He literally said, give me the ball. I'm going to score these buckets. He had the ball in his hands when they beat the Lakers for the game-winning shot. He has had multiple games this year with 20 points and 7 rebounds at minimum. I think he's down up to 15 on the year. I got to double-check the number. But the point is that this guy is having a year that is showing his worth. I think he has finally found his rhythm thanks to Doc Rivers and that coaching staff putting him in a position to be successful.
Paul Hudrick, our Sixers insider, Inside the Sixers today, had this to say.
All these teams are going to look to improve their rosters. They're going to be in on guys like PJ Tucker. They're going to be in on guys like, maybe not a Kyle Lowry, but they're going to be in on some very good players. So it's not a time to get complacent. They're going to have to make a move or two to strengthen the team and also just lengthen the depth of the roster and match up better. I think that's the biggest thing for me is when the playoffs start, I want Doc Rivers to be like, okay, I have this piece if this happens. I have this piece if that happens.
So of all the names that have been kind of bantered about out there, which is the one that excites you the most?
Excites me the most? That's a very interesting question.
Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, PJ Tucker.
Can I start with the
Lou
name that
Williams.
least excites me real quick? Nemanja Bjelica is the name I have the least amount of juice about. Like, remember, wasn't this the same guy who was supposed to come here, didn't want to come here, reneged on his deal? Like, why do I want that guy?
I don't care about that. I mean, that was a different time. Who knows? Maybe I don't want it. Like, people, that's the guy who says, well, you don't want to play in Philly. No, I don't want him. You sound like that guy.
Well,
like maybe at that time he just felt this isn't a good fit for me, or whatever happened in his life at that time.
I just don't believe in people who say they're going to do something and they don't do it, and they come out with a good excuse why they can't. It's like if you got.
You're not like Frank Gore.
I didn't like the Frank Gore thing either. So,
but I'm saying, like, do you not like Frank? Like, you know, he's a likable guy. He's been a great player. Like, all of a sudden, you soured on him.
Maybe if I had a heartwarming story about Nemanja Bjelica, I'd warm to him a little more. But
I remember Bjelica was going to sign here, or he agreed to sign here, and then at the last minute he didn't sign here
because he said he was going to go back to Europe. He said, "Oh, I need to go back to Europe to be with my family." And then 2 days later, he's signing with the Kings. Like, what happened here?
I remember, like, why would you pick the Kings over the Sixers?
But it was because him and Vlade have like a history together. Vlade Divac was the GM there at the time. It was
like Vlade convinced him.
Yeah, it was so weird
to go out there and play.
But to answer your original question, if I have to pick a guy, I got to go with Kyle Lowry. I love the idea of if I'm going into the Nets series, if I'm going 7 games with them, I love the idea of a starting lineup with Embiid, Simmons, Harris, Lowry, and Thibault in my starting lineup. I just love that idea because I know I'm going to get a level of defensive intensity. I'm going to have a guy who's got playoff experience. I like the idea of Lowry coming to this team, and you don't even need – he ain't the first option. He's probably not even the second. He's probably with the third or fourth option on most nights, and that in and of itself makes him so valuable.
Yeah, I mean, he's the best, most talented guy of the group. There's no question about it. Hey, I want to remind everybody, you can go to our website, 973ESPN.com, and you can help us feed hungry South Jersey families. Our Feed a Family today, our current total Feed a Family Radiothon total is over $32,000 donated by you guys out there. That's enough to provide 96,000 families for hungry people in South Jersey. You can feed South Jersey right now with your donation. Go to our website, 973ESPN.com, and donate through the donate button. We're teaming up with the Community Food Bank of South Jersey to make sure families, friends, and neighbors affected by the pandemic and the harsh economic times in Atlantic, Cape May, and Cumberland counties can still enjoy the dinner they deserve and need. Over 96,000 families. For every $25 donation, the Community Food Bank is providing 75 meals for your friends and neighbors. So go to our website now and make that donation and continue to help out. That's a phenomenal job today by our listeners, by the way. Over $36,000, over 96,000 meals for people in South Jersey. All right, Josh is up next. Game night, he'll have more on those stories. And John Morgan's going to talk about the big UFC 259, is it? Card that is coming up this weekend. That'll do it for me. I'm back on Monday here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Thanks to my guests today, Paul Hudrick, Adam Kaplan, and, of course, Happy Hour Friday with the PT. Josh Henning produced the show. He's coming up next with Game Night.
Tomorrow on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA basketball. Throw out the records and the rankings. It's a battle for Tobacco Road as longtime rivals Duke and North Carolina.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Hoping everybody has a great weekend. Coming up on Monday's show, we'll look back at the NBA All-Star Game and Embiid and Simmons, plus the Flyers' busy weekend with the Penguins and the Caps, Phillies spring training, football at 4 with Jeff Mosher, and don't forget, watch the show live. Go to our website, 973ESPN.com.
Game parlay bet, and you can only find them with FanDuel Sportsbook. You can combine point spreads, player props, over-unders, and more into a same-game parlay to get a big payout on a small bet. And right now, new and existing users can get up to $25 in site credit back each day if your parlay falls one leg short with same-game parlay insurance. So just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and sign up with my promo code HENNIG to try the same-game parlays and get the same-game parlay insurance. That's promo code HENNIG when you sign up with FanDuel Sportsbook.